In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. This is a special episode for two reasons.
Oh,
I think
two reasons.
Two. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Neither one of us have our laptops or computers.
Oh,
today.
yeah. Well, I wasn't going to mention it.
This is insane. First, your computer doesn't work because your charger broke for the second time.
For the second time, yeah.
We come back into the studio today, and my computer is completely shit the bed. The Wi-Fi will not work. Nothing will work on my computer. So we are summoned to use our phones.
Yeah.
Which is brutal. I don't like this. It doesn't feel right.
But again, we also are just getting off of seeing The Irishman. So we are hot.
And we
off of it.
Could not help but just
still
do it
have
anyway.
goosebumps.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we got a little insider, a little before the release.
Look, I'm not trying to say that we're a big deal, but we're kind of a big deal. We got an early screening of The Irishman.
Scorsese did
a Q&A.
Personally invited us to his New York loft.
He did.
And we had a
nice dinner with him afterwards.
And then we had a Q&A just with us.
Just with us.
Three of us. Not like an audience Q&A, but just
no.
a very intimate Q&A.
And he sat us down. He looked us in the eyes, which we can both confirm this.
Yeah.
And he
looked
said,
us both in the eyes,
your
which is a
podcast
difficult thing to do.
Yeah, both at the same
time.
You
split your
have
eyes.
two eyes.
He has that Pennywise.
He does, the attribute.
Yeah, I think it's cataracts. But
it's not good, whatever it is,
it's not
especially
healthy
at that
for your
age.
eyes.
No, it's alarming more than anything.
But
he looked us dead in the eyes and said, your podcast has influenced my films since you guys have been around.
30 years.
For 30 years. And that's what he said to us. So, that's
even
why
though
we're
we've
here
only
today.
been doing this podcast, what, a year and a half? Maybe 2 years? 2.5 years? Yeah. So, and I don't think he's came out with a movie since then.
No.
He
was so mesmerized by this podcast. He said, you know what, guys, I just want to tell you guys are doing a great work.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to take you out to dinner and give you a personal Q&A. And we said, Mr. Scorsese, thank you very much. We appreciate this time.
But we're busy.
We
have a lot of
We can't do
things.
this again. This was a special occasion, but look, our schedule's packed.
Yes, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, 3.5 hours.
That is the longest movie experience I have ever had. And I've seen some long ones.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf of Wall Street was 3 hours.
It was. People often forget that because that did not seem like a 3-hour movie when I was in the theaters.
No, because that movie was so good.
Yeah, it was.
It was so funny. But yeah, this is in Martin Scorsese's longest movie ever.
It is.
He said, if I'm going to do it and this is going to be my last gangster film, presumably.
Quote unquote. Who knows?
Then I'm just making it as long as I fucking want. You guys are going to sit here and watch the entire thing no matter what. He just said, fuck it. This will go on forever if I need it to be. And let me tell you, I am fine with that.
I am okay with that. I could have watched another 2.5 hours.
I think if he came out with a 9-hour movie, people would be like, oh, well.
Okay, that's understandable.
It's
Let's
understandable,
watch it.
absolutely. Because, because it didn't feel like 3.5 hours.
It did not.
And we had a pretty packed audience.
Goodness gracious. In all seriousness, the Hollywood Theater was packed.
It was for
a 2:15 showing on a Wednesday.
Yeah, in a 3.5 hour long movie.
Yes.
The guy that was getting our drinks and tickets and everything, the guy next to him was asking, he's like, so have you seen it yet? And the guy was like, no, I'm not seeing it. Did you hear him?
Yeah, I was like,
and the guy that was serving me was just shaking his head. He was like, what is wrong? And I'm like, how did you hire that man? He's like, yeah, I looked at Scorsese's filmography. And
he's like,
the movies aren't really for
fan.
me.
Yeah.
The fact that you had to go in and look to see what this Martin Scorsese has done, like he had no idea. Like, I've heard of him.
Like,
Let me see
that
what
sounds familiar. Yeah, let's see what.
Oh, a taxi driver? That might be interesting. But yeah, the guy was like, it's like, yeah, they're not really for me. And the guy was serving me was just shaking his head.
Just in disbelief. Yeah.
I was just laughing. I'm like, how the fuck did he get a job here?
I don't know. They'll hire anyone these days.
Well, I know to get a job at the Hollywood Theater, you have to actually know movies.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because I've seen them hiring before, but yeah, I don't know how that guy fucking squeaked through. He would squeak through the cracks.
Yeah, he did.
Somehow. Yeah, I'm not going to see it.
Well, the pizza guy, too, when I got pizza, I was like, hey, have you seen The Irishman yet? He's like, nah, I haven't got a chance. I'm like, are you? He's like, I might swing by in the weekend, but I'm the pizza. He literally said this. He goes, I'm the pizza guy, so I'm making pizza all the time. I don't have time to go see the movie.
I'm not the fucking movie guy. I make the fucking pizza.
I'm the fucking pizza guy. Get out of here. Who the fuck you think
I'm
you're
Tony Pizza. I mean, they don't call me Tony Pizza. They don't call me Tony Movie. I'm not in the fucking making movies.
Why'd you get the fuck out of my lobby?
Well, yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know.
You think mailman can't stop being a mailman?
That's what I was thinking, too. I was like, okay.
You can only be one thing in this world? Come on. I'm the pizza guy.
Come on, pizza guy.
Yeah, man. I mean... I'd be in there. I would have been in the first showing. It's the only theater in fucking
anywhere
2 states that we live in that is showing this movie. So, for people not to be excited as we were, I was kind of taken back by that. Yeah, it's an event.
It is an event. It's an event for the ages.
For them to get back, Pesci, De Niro, and
Al Pacino.
Well, not to get first time with Al Pacino with Martin Scorsese, yes. But then to get all those heavy hitters.
But yeah, they're the quintessential mobster.
The fact that Pacino's never worked with Scorsese before is mind blowing.
It's baffling.
I mean, they came up right at the both of them. They were both peaking, in the 70s and the 80s and everything. But yeah, for them to never be in a movie together. Although I think Pacino was hard to
work with,
which is hard to get him on set in the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, because a lot of cocaine.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of nose candy. Yeah, he
but Pacino in this movie is very restrained.
But he was kind of over the top. He was kind of a little bit.
Yeah, but not over the top for Pacino.
No. Not at all.
Not heat over the top. She's got a great ass. In the middle of that restaurant.
I know. It's like everyone's looking around.
Oh.
Even the extras are like, it's a little excessive. Is this guy really the actor here? What's going on?
But yeah, man, for them to get all those people and then to have it a 3.5 hour long movie, it's an event.
It is.
You should shut down the goddamn town and make everyone go and watch this.
You should.
Most likely, this is their last movie together.
It's their last movie.
It's Pacino's last movie for sure. Yeah. 50 times is what.
Well, it's Joe Pesci's last movie.
Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pesci. Yeah, 50 times is the number that they say he said no for this movie,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
because he did a great job in this too. It's like he never left.
Oh, he was fucking. He did not miss a beat, man. A totally different Pesci than what we're used to.
Very different.
But he just fucking killed it. I mean, in my opinion, I think he was one of the best. Robert De Niro gives an amazing performance.
He does.
I mean, everyone. I feel like you can give anyone an Oscar in this.
Oh, I agree with that. For sure.
I mean, those 3 guys, how do you
And of course, Jesse Plemons was in this.
Yeah. Did he even have a line? He said one word,
he said a few words, yeah. But
and even Anna Paquin, who plays Robert De Niro's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She was
Peggy.
an Oscar winner. She said, 2 things?
I think so.
I kept waiting for her to talk, and then she never talked.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I was expecting more out of that character.
Yeah, so was I.
And like it was just every time we saw it was like for 2 seconds at a time, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird.
But it was kind of the hidden restraint that made her character very powerful. Every scene that seemed she was in, it just seemed like it took something from the room or whatever. Just
definitely.
From right at the start, she knew what her dad was doing. I mean,
she was
every time he looked at her, you could tell that she was just fucking. I mean, that will happen when you bring your daughter down to beat the shit out of the local grocer.
Well, and that's why Russell. I mean, she knew even when she was 11. That's why Russell was like Joe Pesci's character.
And he knew
Russell.
immediately too. Yeah,
he knew, or she knew. That's why she never liked him.
Oh, and
Russell.
Russell.
Like, there's something about your daughter. She doesn't really like.
Well, and Russell knew as well. I think because he saw. I mean, because he knows so many mafia guys, and he knows what it does to your family.
Yeah.
And he knew. I think he knew immediately that because he told him, he's like, "You got to be close. You got to be close," and he doesn't really get it. But yeah, what did you think, Mason, of this 3.5 hour adventure we went on?
It was a masterpiece. When people were saying it's a masterpiece, it really was. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was different, I think, from the Scorsese that we're used to.
Yeah,
I mean, it still had those quick,
Mm-hmm.
you know, those really great editing, really great, and everything happening so quick. But then it had those moments also where it slowed down really, really
a lot.
But I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I love those slow scenes. It was really different though from what we're used to, at least from gangster films from Scorsese, because Scorsese can do a slow movie, but his gangster films are usually, you know, one beat after other. But this one slows down, and I enjoyed those moments where it slowed down. It gave you kind of a chance to catch your breath a little bit
And to take it all in.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the atmosphere and everything, man. That's what's so great about going to a Scorsese film is you feel like you're fucking in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s.
That's one thing I wanted to say on this. Like, you felt the atmosphere. Like, when they went to the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Everything was just like that bright, like, you know, that tainted bright pink.
Yeah, that you can only get in the fucking 60s or 70s or whatever. Or even when
that whole bowling alley just looks 60s.
Yeah. Even when he was driving around, we'll get into it later, but when he's driving around, when he's looking at the place he's gonna bomb out, the laundry place. You know, he's driving around, and it was real slow, but I love that scene, man.
Yes,
because it feels just so 70s and like 60s or whatever.
And all the gas and stuff, and the dynamite, the TNT sticks in the back.
Yeah,
of his
what
trunk.
did he call that? He called it candy.
Candy, yes.
Because you'll need candy. Because remember when he's bumming the taxis, the guy's like, "Who the hell's Candy?" Yeah, he was good at what he did. Sure.
Yes, he was.
I was saying before, it's just crazy all the people that he rubbed shoulders with. You know, Jimmy Hoffa, fucking all those politicians and everything. And crazy the reach and pull that the mob had. My God, you never get used to it. They were killing presidents.
Yes, they were.
And getting away with it. And no one could touch them.
Yeah.
They could do anything. At the height of their power, they controlled every single... It's crazy to me that they ever lost... Power.
Yeah. Something had to go really wrong for them to lose power because they had a ton of it.
I think it was just the change of the times, man. People started doing the crimes on the books. Now we just have big business is our mob now. I mean,
exactly.
You think about the corruption in that era, man. Everyone was fucking corrupt. JFK, man, he got elected because of the mob. And to say that, I mean, yeah, and it's crazy. And to say that his death had nothing to do with the mob or the CIA or anything.
It definitely did. There's no question about it.
Imagine living in that time and knowing that you can't do anything.
Yeah,
I mean, remember, we live in the
Jeffrey
Epstein area
yes.
where we know Jeffrey Epstein was murdered.
But we know that.
Imagine that, but you're fucking president.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It
is fucking wild. And, you know, and they killed Jimmy Hoffa, who they were saying in the movie, it was the president, then it was Jimmy Hoffa. Everyone fucking knew he's big as Elvis. Everyone knew Jimmy Hoffa, and they killed him like it was nothing. And he disappeared. No one. And today, well, they killed him. We don't know he was killed, I guess.
Yeah, he's definitely killed. I mean, has he ever turned up to say hello?
No, not a single time, not once. Hasn't sent a single Christmas card my way, so I'm assuming he's dead.
Assuming he's no longer with us.
No, well, I guess we can't say he's dead because they did end up declaring him dead in the 80s. No body or anything. They just said, yeah, this guy ain't coming back.
No, never.
He ain't popping up. But yeah, I thought that was just wild, you know. And this movie spans such a crazy long time period. We have to talk about the de-aging technology in this movie.
Yeah, let's do it.
It looked fucking fantastic. Robert De Niro looked like he looked in Goodfellas.
You know, I'd have to agree with that too. Like, I saw some back and forth. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it before we saw the film. But I didn't have a problem with it at all. I thought it looked really good.
It looked 100 times better than straight up CGI. 100%. It looked real to me. There wasn't a single moment where I thought, oh, this just looks... And they did it with everyone. They did it with Al Pacino. They did it with Pesci. It was fucking amazing. It's setting the bar for how movies are going to do it now. Why do CGI if you have that? And apparently it was one of the first movies to do it where they just no motion capture or anything. It was just a camera, then computers on the side of when they were doing a de-aging. They would just de-age it after, and it was just actors acting.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's why you got to do it.
It looked so incredibly good. I couldn't believe it. 30 years younger. You know, all those guys are 70.
Yeah, they're old.
Every single one of them is 70 years old. And they played, 40-year-olds?
Yeah, 40, 45.
It showed Robert De Niro right at the start when he's first delivering, you know, trucks before he's in the mob or whatever.
Then.
He's got to be like 30 or 40 in that. I could
same with Pesci too when he's like leaning over the truck and he's helping him fix his.
That was kind of a moment where I was like, It was almost the "they shall not grow old" moment, where it came out and we were like,
from like,
and you can't see their face at all.
It's all distorted and awful, and then it goes.
But it had to have been similar technology in my mind, where it had to have been, and that is what I love about filmmaking, is not going too far into the CGI aspect, but just enough to make your movie better. But that looked incredible, man. I couldn't believe it, and that makes sense because of the budget was $100 million.
Wasn't it like two? I thought it was like 200.
Well, $100 million was what they set it at, but I heard it went way over.
160 is what this source says.
And that's what made Paramount drop them and everyone, because they said though the budget and the length is too fucking long. Luckily, Netflix. Even though Netflix kind of fucked it up with the whole distribution of theaters and everything.
I know. I would have loved to see this on a GXL, but I gotta say, all credit to Hollywood Theater. I liked their theater there. It wasn't bad.
Well, it's crazy.
The screen looked just fine.
This is shot on film, 35 millimeter. So for them to do that and then de-age film, it's not digital, so it's what a fucking feat. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it did.
You can't beat 35 millimeter.
No.
You can't. Yeah, I'd take that over digital any day, but it's still, that just lays how incredible it was for the de-aging. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned.
Yes.
Oh, Scorsese. You think this old man doesn't have any more tricks up his sleeve?
Oh, God, he's full of them. And if you look at his like IMDb, it's wild because he's like working on like 6 other projects right now.
Oh, yeah, and he produced The Joker. Or he was going to produce. He ended up dropping out late. But man, that movie had Scorsese written all over it. Should we get into it in the thick of the plot?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we dive into it?
You know, he's directing a film called Roosevelt, which is about
I wonder what that's going to be about.
Theodore. No, well, there's 2 Roosevelts, to be fair. Franklin D. Roosevelt.
There's a lot more
than
than
Theodore
2.
Roosevelt. Presidents?
No, but there's a lot more than 2 Roosevelts.
Oh, well, yes. But I mean, I'm assuming it would be one of the 2 presidents. It's, it's about Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Old Teddy.
He was a fucking bull.
He's a wild man.
He was a bull for
Yes,
sure. He was a lot different than old FDR.
It's so wild to me that like Scorsese has gone through his whole career and has only won 1 Oscar. That's crazy.
Yeah. And he does so much more than gangster films. That's just the first thing that people remember. But he's done so much more. I mean, he's pretty much stopped doing gangster films after Goodfellas.
He's been damn near nominated for every gangster film he's ever had. He's just never won.
Oh yeah, people do not like rewarding gangster films
No.
People don't like awarding overly violent movies, or the Academy does. I don't say people, because people fucking
people
love
it.
But
people support it.
Yeah, because they're all fucking
Not the
old
Academy.
ass boomers. Someday though, there'll be someone younger than 70 on the fucking Academy, and they'll be able to determine a good movie for once in their goddamn life. But Jesus Christ, yeah. Well, anyways, it starts out with old Frank Sheeran, played by Robert De Niro, and he has no relation to Ed Sheeran.
None.
I looked it up, although they are both Irish.
They are, to be fair, so there could be some bloodline hidden in there.
There might be.
Somewhere.
There might be. What we know about the Irish.
What we got to do is we got
They love to drink.
They do. We got to sit old Frank down on a piano, see if he can play.
Well, you're going to have to dig him up.
Oh, okay, he's dead.
Because spoiler alert, he actually did die.
He died a while ago.
Did not die. He died of natural causes, which
He did.
kind of blew me away that anyone dies of natural causes living this kind of life. Because that's what the whole story is about, right? This movie is about, it's not about the gangster, but it's about what gangster life does to your life.
Yes.
And how...
Entirely. Well, what it does to your family life, what it does to your personal life, like all of it.
And that's what's different than other Scorsese films, because it really does, it shows you how, I mean, they lived a short amount of time, but they lived, I mean, for that short amount, they burnt hot.
Well, especially the last, 45 minutes of this film, I felt very somber. It was just,
oh
sad
God,
and kind of like...
Yes.
He's kind of looking back on his whole life, and I wouldn't say regretting it, but in a way, trying to make some sort of amends for it.
Well, that, I mean, we'll get into it later, but the whole last hour with him having to go and, to Jimmy Hoffa, and that being one of his only friends, his entire career was built on killing people he didn't know. Yeah. And that's why he was so good at it.
When he was his bodyguard on top of that.
And they were really good friends.
Yeah.
But that whole last act, I guess you can call it, because the movie was so long, but that whole last act was just heartbreaking.
It was tough.
It was brutal to watch how just hard it was for him to go and do that, and how Pesci's character knew he had to do it, or it wouldn't get done.
No. Who else would
That's
have done
tough
it?
love.
Yeah, it is. That is tough love.
When your best friend is making you murder one of your other best friends, that is tough love. But again, he told him, it was either him or them. They would have just got fucking killed anyways. Even though they ended up going to prison, but yeah, so
because Hoffa knew something that they didn't know.
Oh yeah,
and that's why
and
that's
Hoffa,
why they all went
what
to prison.
an idiot Hoffa was. I mean, he was just stubborn. He had it all.
Stubborn as a mule.
He got out of prison. He could have just retired.
He could.
It was never about. It was never about money.
It
was never about money.
It was about the power of being like the president.
And I understand he was the leader of the Teamsters for almost 30 years, and that was the largest union in the world.
Right.
The largest fucking union. So I mean, that's like being king, and then them taking the king title and saying no, you can't have it anymore. Once you're king, you can't go back to being a fucking peasant.
You die on the throne.
Yeah, exactly. And he was willing to die on the throne.
Well, he did.
Well, he wasn't even really on the throne by then.
No,
yeah, he was
trying to get back. Grace, and he was trying to get back on top.
So the first scene, it's Frank Sheeran, and he's in the nursing home, and he's recounting his life as a mobster. Really,
and also as a World War II vet too.
Yeah, and also a leader of a Teamster union. That was the main thing that he was known for back then. But yeah, so it's 1950s, and this is before he's joined the mob. And again, it's young De Niro. He's out. He's slinging dick. He's doing all kinds. He's delivering meat, slabs of meat in the 50s. That was a huge business back then.
It was.
90% of workers were just shipping meat. But he's doing what any good truck drivers does. He's skimming a little off the top,
Well, that's what you got to do. You got to make a little extra money.
Oh yeah, man. And he's part of the union right off the bat. He already has that connection to Hoffa. But yeah, he's skimming. Once in a while, a truck of meat goes missing. Who's to say?
I don't know where it goes. I'm just a truck.
What
driver.
am I? I gotta keep count of every fucking steak I deliver. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
But they immediately
they catch on to it. Yeah.
Fire him, and they send him to. Well, they fire him, and then, of course, because he's part of the union, someone there gets to defend him. Because when you're a union, you can't get fired.
And who better than Ray Romano?
Ray Romano. And
to play old Bill.
Bill Bufalino.
Yes, Bufalino.
Cousin to Joe Pesci's
That's
character. What was his first name?
Whose first name?
Joe Pesci's character.
Oh, Russell.
Yeah, Russell Bufalino, also known as the Old Man.
Yes.
And that's a perfect character for Joe Pesci, because Joe Pesci has always been old. I think he came out of the womb 50 years old. Have you ever seen Joe Pesci young?
Pissed off.
Have you ever seen Joe Pesci young?
I never have, to be fair. There's no photo evidence.
I swear I'm looking up one time.
He literally could have came out 50 years old.
That's a good, he only had his first acting role when he was like 50.
That's incredible.
That was his first.
Really?
That was his first role when he was like 50. Yeah, because he was a musician.
Pesci, a musician?
Yeah, you haven't looked up. He's got multiple albums, and he even had an album when he was a kid called Little Pesci.
Oh, you gotta look adorable.
I learned all this going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole one day.
Wikipedia is actually a fun little thing to go down. Like, if you've got an hour to just read whatever.
Oh yeah, and you go to one page and you click on something else. You go down another web. Yeah, but I went down the Joe Pesci web, and he's got. Yeah, he never succeeded as a musician, but he's they give him the credit for bringing together the Four Seasons, the really famous band.
Yes,
because he introduced one guy to another, and they started one of the most famous bands in the world. Yeah,
damn.
He's got a crazy life.
That's crazy.
And he was born, he's raised with like mobsters and stuff, so he really does know that world. But yeah, so. So the lawyer Bill Bufalino, Ray Romano, gets Sharon out.
Yeah, he does.
And I love that was a good scene.
It was
like, wait a second, I got something to say, and he thinks he's gonna yell at him, and then he yells at the fucking.
Well, even before that, where Ray Romano's like, so he's like going through. He's like, you ever stolen anything? Or not? That was the last one that he said.
Yeah.
But you ever late? No. You ever hit someone? He goes, on the job. He goes. No.
It's an obvious interview for the mob. That's all he was
Of
asking.
course.
That's all he was asking for. Have you ever, and then at the end, it was like,
are you
he's
gonna
like, were they probably just going to want names? He's like, are you fine with giving names? And he's like, no. And that's the main question. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Just don't give fucking names, and
you
you'll
don't say anything.
soar to the fucking top.
Well, there's not a lot of regulations, but that's the biggest one. Just don't be a rat.
Yeah, don't be a rat. And he does end up losing his job.
Yes.
But when one fucking door closes, Jesus opens another mob
He
window.
does. He really does. And he opened the perfect opportunity.
He does.
For Mr. Sheeran.
Because Bill Bufalino ends up introducing him to his cousin, Russ Bufalino,
Yes.
the old man. Russ Bufalino, if you don't know, is the leader of the Bufalino crime family.
Yeah, I did know that.
Well,
I mean,
it was
after
more
watching
rhetorical for the fans. But we both watched the movie together. I'm aware you know.
Yes.
But yeah, and that was a big crime family in Pennsylvania. Those Pennsylvania
And to go back,
mobsters.
Russ had met him previously at a gas station because his truck broke down when he was a meat hauler.
Yeah, absolutely randomly.
So random.
Which I thought for sure maybe he'd like heard of Sheeran and he was like just going to check him out and he was pretending, but no, it was just completely random.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, it's just every
And
day
he found
you
out
run
that he
into
didn't own the gas station. He owned the whole street, is what they said.
Yeah, because he knew as soon as he saw him, he owned something. You know, those guys walk around on a different level than everyone else because they can't be
Their head
touched,
a little
especially
higher.
back then. Oh
The
yeah,
suit's a
absolutely.
little,
Yeah,
you know,
they float
better dry
above the
clean.
sticks. They never actually touch the ground. They just float.
They
above.
hover. Yeah, it's like a smooth.
Especially then, man. If you had the opportunity, you knew you were gonna die at 40, but you were gonna live just this crazy awesome life.
Would you do it?
That's the question.
That's
Every
the question
every
every-
time I
yeah.
watch a mob movie, that is the question to me.
That's the same thing running through my head.
Because all those guys, they don't have any intention of living past 50. I mean, they all try. They all give it the old
Of course,
fucking
they're not
college
like,
try.
okay, it's time.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah.
But not a
they
single,
realize
they
a lot
know
of people
exactly.
die
Yeah,
in this
so
industry.
that's the big thing to me. Knowing that you're going to go, I mean, to me, it's like if you know, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
And they're living just.
And if you don't get killed, you probably get locked up.
Yeah, but you're gonna have a good fucking 40 years
yeah.
of just doing anything
whatever you want.
Anything you want. Yeah, you might have to
And being
kill a
the
couple
man.
people. You might have to throw a couple guns
It's
in
all
the
part
river.
of the business. Good. Thank God they never sent.
But
a
they're
diver
paying
down
you
there.
fucking more than you would ever make in your life doing a fucking real job. They're paying you more in a week driving a truck somewhere and just dropping it off.
Than
no
you are
questions
making a
asked.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was 1970s me. I think it would have to do it.
Absolutely, I would have in a
It's-
heartbeat. To drive a truck, why not?
Oh fuck, dude! And yeah, to just sit.
I mean,
with
you
those,
end up getting a
sit with
little
those
deeper and
guys. No one
deeper.
knowing. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You start
knowing
out
no one
driving a
can
truck,
touch
but
you.
sitting with those guys and just fucking with everyone. And those guys are shaking. They're shaking hands with celebrities,
Celebrities,
presidents,
Yeah, I was
politicians,
gonna say
yeah.
politicians, all of it, man.
back in the day. Now, if you ask me, some guy came up to me. He's like, "You want to join the mob?" I'd be
I'm good, man. Too
But
much
busy,
surveillance. There's cameras
Making
everywhere.
$30K a
I actually
year,
just
dude,
would- yeah, I'd rather just
selling probably
my job.
heroin or something. Yeah, nowadays no. But meet me in the 50s.
Now you're
on a
talking.
Chicago street. Oh yeah, buddy.
yeah.
Every day of the week. But yeah, so he starts doing jobs for the mob.
Russ, yeah.
For the Russ, yeah. For Russ, and he also meets Harvey Keitel's character, which Harvey Keitel, just another fucking star to add in the mix. But yeah,
Angelino Bruno.
who was also the boss. He was a big fucking
Angelo
dick.
Bruno.
Anjo, yeah, that's what everyone called him. He was a big dick also.
Yes.
He was also the head of a crime family, which it's a big deal.
And it comes into play a little later.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you don't you don't fuck with those
around
guys.
with those guys. You don't fuck around with their business.
But it's crazy just like he really just went straight to the top, Frank did.
Real fast.
Like most guys got to do like you got to go
You gotta put
go
your
buy
time in.
cigarettes for these guys and on the corner and shit. This guy went straight to the fucking top.
Started driving trucks and then doing murders. Pretty
Although
fast.
he did have by this time he was like 30 in real life, and he had an entire career in the army. You know, he had a pretty crazy army life as well. Frank Sheeran did, but I read he did 400 days of combat straight.
Jeez. 400, yeah.
411.
411,
yeah.
yep.
The average was 100 is most anyone usually does.
That's
100 is insane.
And, like,
that's a year. You're
That's
waking
a
up
year
and
every day of
fighting.
shooting and killing people. Yeah. And that's the crazy thing too. Like we did not, obviously, this is an obvious statement here, but we did not have the information, the knowledge that we do now about what that does, what traumatic, like PTSD does to someone.
Well, we have firsthand fucking knowledge looking at Frank Sheeran. It makes you a shell of a person. And he talked about how the army taught him how to kill. You know, him killing POWs, all killings that were illegal. That you're not allowed to do even in the fucking army. But I really like that scene when he was like, a mob guy telling me to go, do what I got to do was the same feeling as an officer going and telling me what to do, I had to do. Crazy.
It is crazy. It's wild.
That the army made some of the greatest hitman of all time.
It really did.
That's something we got to give to him. It made some stone cold fucking killers. And it helped him learn Italian.
It did.
There's also a key in yeah, because he was in the African front, so he never went to Germany or anything. He went straight to Italy, which, my God.
He did get to kill some SS Nazis, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He buried those two.
Yeah.
After he made them. I love that self-monologue, too, where he's talking about that, and he goes, I don't know why they're burying, or they're digging. He goes, maybe it just makes them feel that if they do a good job, the guy holding the gun ain't going to shoot him.
Yeah, and he's like, we never did.
He goes, we never did.
No. He's like, I never got why they would dig their own graves, knowing that it was their graves. That was pretty crazy. But, yeah, someone tells me to dig my grave. I'm saying go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Or you can dig me in a shallow ass grave.
Shoot me. Now you got to dig 2 holes. Yeah, I'm not.
What am I going to do? I'm going to say, let me say some prayers, okay? Like, just give me 30 seconds, but I ain't digging this damn hole.
Yeah. So he goes, he does some jobs, and he starts doing side work as well. And a guy comes up to him and asks him, he's got to go bomb out a competing laundry service in Delaware.
Very strange.
Very strange. It's another kind of mom guy. I guess I'm not even gonna bother looking up his name, but yeah, they asked him to do that, and he's right up
because he didn't make it long enough.
No, he lives about another 2 minutes after this.
Wasn't he the cousin of Harvey Keitel's character, Bruno?
What were they cousins? I'm not sure if I caught that. If they're cousins.
I don't know. I don't remember.
All I know is Harvey Keitel's character, he owned like 50% of this laundromat that Frank was going to go and blow up.
Yeah.
That did not sit well with Anjo.
Not at all. And you know what? He's real lucky that he had a friend. They could have played that famous song from Toy Story. You got a friend in me.
He saved his ass because
he saved his life.
A guy that hasn't even been in the fucking business that long, you would kill immediately. Yeah. Anyone would, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Why would you even risk? Because it looks really bad for Frank, and I like that scene a lot because that scene is fucking tense. Because it looks bad for Frank, and I think Frank knew he was going to die right here. Because I mean, they just have to trust that he didn't know, which. I don't know how the mob works, but I don't think there's a lot of trust built between those guys.
No, they never had trust in people.
Half of the people were wearing wires. Half of your fucking family is wearing a wire. Yeah. But yeah. So that ends up going sour, and he ends up killing the guy that gave him the job. That was his first way in the business. And during that time, he was like, "Yeah, I just found there was a lot easier way to do things, and that was just by fucking killing people." He goes and he throws the gun into the river when we learn that the river is a hot spot.
It is literally, that river is completely full. I love this scene where he throws the gun into the river and he's like, thank God they never sent a scuba team down there.
Yeah,
you could have armed a whole
small country.
Army. Yeah. A full country.
And he throws about 40 guns in that fucking river. He adds to that pile. I'm surprised there's not guns peeking out and caressing the water.
But I love when the gun floats to the bottom. You see all those other guns at the bottom.
It is like, yeah.
It's a hot spot for guns, man.
Fucking cop dredges that thing. He's solving 900 murders.
He might be the cop of the
He'll be
decade,
a goddamn hero.
Yeah. He's getting medals out the ass for that.
Are you kidding me?
For a simple swim.
I mean, no one just throws a gun in the river. So every gun is associated with a murder. You don't find a gun in the river and just think, someone was just fishing with his gun. Yeah. No, it's 100%.
It's always a murder. Have
you seen those YouTube videos of the guys that go and they're called magnet fishing? They just throw big magnets in a river, a popular tourist place, and they'll find watches and stuff. But they'll always find like guns and whatever. And as soon as you find a gun, you got to go take it to the cops.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think that's what majority of people do.
But yeah, they find guns all the time. All the fucking time. Yeah. I mean, you have to. I'd want to keep the gun, but...
but, probably not a good idea.
I don't want to get fucking framed for murder either, so I don't want some guy to find a gun on me. But And it's not long till Frank eventually gets introduced to Jimmy Hoffa, the man, the myth, the legend.
Played by Al Pacino himself.
Oh, kills it.
Are you kidding me?
Just fucking kills it. That Jimmy Hoffa character was so... I mean, I don't know a lot about Jimmy Hoffa. No one our age knows anything about Jimmy Hoffa, so I don't know a lot about his mannerisms and everything. But, man, it just seemed like he fucking... nailed what a chauvinistic asshole Jimmy Hoffa was.
Yeah.
And how he was just part of the mob as well. He just, again, did everything at the front, but he was killing people. He was framing people. Mm-hmm. He was doing everything that the mob was doing to make sure that he had power. He was opening up fucking casinos with pension money.
Yes.
People retirement.
He's giving loans out to the mob as well.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, really.
And I loved how anything that he did was fine, but as soon as someone else did it, he's like, what an asshole. He's like, how could they? He's
well,
like,
even when he went to prison and Tony took over. Tony Provenzano took over.
Tony Pro.
Tony Pro is what they called him, yes.
Played by
Graham.
Jeremy?
No, it's I love him. He's in
Stephen Graham.
Stephen Graham. There we go.
Yeah.
But he's also in, I always bring it up, Boardwalk Empire. He's done some other mobster movies now.
He's done a lot of work now. You kind of see him in almost everything. These small roles.
He's so good in these like mobster films.
He plays
mobster TV shows.
He plays that firecracker so well. That guy with the shortest fucking fuse. He plays that guy perfectly. But
he was in Rocket Man too, right? As Dick James.
Oh yeah, he's in everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah. So Jimmy Hoffa though, Jimmy Hoffa's kind of in a pickle. He's got Tony Pro. He's coming up, and Tony Pro's another Teamster that's coming up trying to take Jimmy Hoffa's his votes. Because you got to get voted in. For the head of the union. Yeah. But so Frank starts hanging around Hoffa, and he becomes his head bodyguard. And he starts hanging around him a lot, and they become like best
really
friends.
Good friends.
Of course, you're going to become best friends. You hang out all the time. But yeah, not even that, but Hoffa becomes like an uncle to his kids and everything. And Jimmy Hoffa becomes really, really close with Frank's family. And Frank's daughter, Peggy, that's the only...
Peggy actually loves Mr. Hoffa.
Yeah.
She wasn't a fan of Russ, but she really enjoyed Hoffa. And they
because she knew the kind of men that Russ, and she didn't know what kind of real man Jimmy Hoffa was. Because Jimmy Hoffa was on the up and up, what everyone thought. You never saw what kind of mobster he really was.
Exactly.
So for kids, she loved him.
And he was on TV and stuff like that. Yeah. He wasn't And
back then it was mobster. Like if you're on TV, you're good.
You're the man.
Yeah. They're gonna let a fucking mobster on TV. When you're seeing mobsters every goddamn day everywhere, you just don't know it. But yeah, so they become he becomes a bodyguard, and they become really, really good friends. And his family loves him. And at this point, Frank also has a new wife. I forgot to mention that. He raised over that, but he kicked the old wife to the curb quick.
Very fast.
He found that new lady one night and was like, "Oh, I'm done with that."
Well, this is good. This is a lot better.
But it never gets to the point where it's like Goodfellas, where he's cheating on his wife every day.
No, it doesn't.
It never gets into that.
And it didn't get much into any of the women in this movie much at all.
And I mean,
except that one scene with Joe Pesci and his wife, where she's like, "I'll clean up. Oh, don't forget your shoes."
Yeah, and it kind of made a point really of that because a lot of in the Goodfellas and Casino, it was people from the outside coming into this mob family. But Pesci's wife, she knew. They said she was mob royalty. She came from an actual mob family in Italy. The old mob. Until they kicked them out of there.
Yeah, they said she was on the Mayflower for the Italians coming over.
So she knew the world extremely well, and I think Frank Sheeran's new wife knew the world as well because she was working in a mob-owned restaurant. So neither of them were scared or shocked or anything. No. So I really don't think that's why I got into that. But yeah, so
1960s election.
Who was running in 1960?
I think a famous president named John F. Kennedy.
Oh.
Yes, that guy.
That old Catholic?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, John F. Kennedy's running, and
I think still the only Catholic to this day who's held office in the United States.
He is definitely the only Catholic, and probably the only Catholic that ever will get elected. They thought I know for a fact when JFK got elected, they thought a Catholic could never, because they always said, "Oh, their allegiance lies with the Pope over in Rome." They said you can never trust a Catholic. What a wild. half the country was Catholic at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think he got elected. I think he ends up winning.
And he served a full 8 years and did
and he changed the country around. He got Castro out of Cuba.
He did.
Scored that one real clean.
Did a great job.
3-point bucket. Nailed that one. And he turned around segregation. He just he did it all. No, JFK was just as part of the mob as fucking Bufalino was. My God, dude. The Kennedys were the most. Do you know how JFK's dad?
There's so much corruption behind the Kennedys.
Do you know how JFK dad got his fortune?
No, I don't. I mean, I do, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I remember hearing it. But
so he worked in Wall Street, and he did a lot of insider trading, which is illegal now. Mm-hmm. And when there was no restrictions in Wall Street back then, so you could do anything. You can call up the guy, what's going on? You're going to sell this? You're going to sell that? He made millions off of that. And then FDR, another Roosevelt, hired him to be the commission, and he arrested everyone that was insider trading. Yeah.
So he could own the monopoly on it?
No, he made it illegal. He made it illegal for everyone. Once he made his fortune, he made it illegal for everyone, so no one else can do this.
Oh, that's messed up.
It's exactly what Kennedy does in this, because the mob gets him elected, and then he sends Bobby Kennedy after everyone.
Yeah,
it's exactly what his dad did too. And when I remember, it's something cool because the Kennedys I've looked into it because they are fucking corrupt. But when they asked FDR why did they choose Kennedy to run, that commission when he's a known thief, he said you got to catch a thief, you have to hire a thief. So FDR knew that he was the worst of the worst.
Wow.
And hired him, and he did. He
did his job, though.
He did his job.
He did his job.
Arrested all of his friends, everyone that he
That is so insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then he invested in real estate.
Oh, okay.
And he made
nice, honest living.
And he made $1 billion doing that. But yeah, man, the Kennedy's fortune is made on the backs of using the system. It's just, but they were very powerful though. Just crazy how powerful. And I really liked the scene of them talking about the dad, the head Kennedy, and how he still had so much fucking power, and how the family was killing him off just because he held so much power still, and they probably fucking did. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
I
don't see that guy going out on his own will, but yeah. So Kennedy wins, and like I said, Bobby F. Kennedy starts going after the fucking Teamsters. And Jimmy Hoffa...
Well, because he's the attorney general now.
Yeah, because JFK made him the attorney general.
Right.
And he goes straight to Chicago.
And you want to talk about what's the word I'm looking for? More, not conflict. Jeez.
Nepotism?
No. Yeah, well, nepotism. But not
you
nepotism,
hire your own family?
Yeah, but not that.
Conflict of interest.
No, just, Jesus Christ. Never mind. Forget it.
Oh, you're
just...
the
word.
Oh.
Well, Robert Kennedy and the whole Chadwick situation. Or Padwick thing, where he flipped the car. Chadnook, yeah.
Oh, yeah, where he killed them.
He killed the girl.
Well, yeah. That's mafia, man. I mean, yeah.
But that whole story's crazy, too, because that guy should have been locked up. He was drunk as a skunk driving that vehicle.
Yeah. That's one of many people that the Kennedys have murdered. Mm-hmm. One of many, many fucking people. Again, a horrible, horrible family. I mean, almost every politician. I mean, old money like that. The Bushes, the main Bush made all his money sending money to Nazis. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. Bush senior, or not George Bush's, but George Bush's dad, or George Bush's dad's dad, made all of his money giving money to the Nazis, making it safe for them to, yeah. The Bushes are fucking war criminals.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. All that old money is fucking... That's why you got to tear it down, start new with people that don't have... With regular people that don't have these crazy ties.
Right.
But yeah, so...
blood and bones or whatever it's called. Skull and
bones. Crossbones or whatever the fucking... Yeah, the Yale bullshit. But But yeah, so and Bobby Kennedy starts the Get Hoffman squad, and this is a group of 9 or like 10 guys or something that their entire job and living is to make sure that
to bring down Jimmy Hoffa
goes to prison. Yeah, that's their job, and they do a pretty good job of it.
They do, because in 1964 they get him on jury tampering.
Yes,
or fraud.
Yeah,
either one.
And they send him away for 5 years, right? I think it was 5 years. They said they sent him to school.
Well, no, it was 7 years because in 71 Nixon gave him a pardon.
Oh yeah, yeah, that is right. Yeah, so yeah. Spoiler alert. Oh Nixon, what a guy.
Oh Nixon, what a guy. What a prez.
What a guy.
What a prez.
But yeah, and then during this,
you're right though. What a crazy time, because you go from the Kennedys to eventually Nixon. And then it's like, oh my God.
Well,
this
Nixon ran against more. Yeah, I know, that was the whole thing. It was like one after another. I loved it. Even in this movie, Kennedy gets shot. It's this big crazy thing, and then then it's Lyndon B. Johnson, and then the next scene is them talking about Watergate, and it's the same guys that were sending weapons to fucking Cuba with Frank that were at the fucking hearing for taping the Democratic committee or whatever. Yeah. It was the ears guy. What was the guy with the big ears?
Oh, God, I forget his name.
Who did not have big ears at all.
Whispers? No, I don't know his name.
No, Whispers. The other Whispers was the guy who hired him to take out the laundry.
Right.
That was the other Whispers, because the first Whispers got blown up, remember?
That he did.
But yeah, so he goes to prison, and but yeah, we kind of glazed over that. Is what we see is Frank. He gets a job where he's sending weapons down to Florida for the Bay of Pigs.
Yes,
that's a crazy scene as well. Because again,
this
guy lived through so fucking much. What a crazy, insane.
Well, when the Bay of Pigs was a clusterfuck.
Oh,
that was awful.
God, it was horrible. When the CIA was just as corrupt as them. I mean, they probably still are, but man, they are just as corrupt as them. Yeah, but yeah, but crazy that he was involved in that. Directly, almost involved. He sent weapons, or he drove down to Florida and just left a truck and took off. The next day, a bunch of Cuban refugees were trying to take back their country. And Castro was having little to none of that.
No, he was not.
He said, "I'm gonna blow that beach off the map." Yeah. It was so dumb, man. That was the dumbest. The Bay of Figs is what it should be called, but the Bay of Pigs was so dumb. They thought that just that little spark was going to start a revolution. Everyone was going to, but no one did anything.
No, it was awful. And then you had the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. Where, they fire off a missile. They wouldn't even be able to defend that back in the day. That's a big deal because Cuba's off the coast of Florida, man. It's not that far off.
No, some people swim it.
Brutal.
But yeah, man, that was just crazy. I mean, that was on top of the Cold War that was going on. But man, those mafia guys could care less about the fucking Cold War and what was happening. They just wanted Cuba back because they wanted the casinos back. Because when Fidel Castro, when he went to power, he kicked all the mob and everyone out of the casino or out of the island. So now the only reason they wanted that back was to, and that's why they loved Kennedy so much, and that's why they got him hired. And we see that in the movie. They got him.
They got him votes.
They got him elected, and they
were taking dead people's names and then going and voting as those people.
Yeah,
man.
And Hoffa hated him, but all the mob loved him. Even though that he started going after the mob, they still just said, he'll do the right thing. Because they kept talking.
They had a lot of faith in that.
And they kept saying, the old guys are talking. And who the fuck knows who those guys are? They just keep, those guys are like, that's the fucking, that's the higher up. That's higher than the mob. And those guys are God. But, yeah, so that happens. The Bay Pigs, that goes on. Eventually, Hoffa, he gets arrested. He's in jail, but he gets locked up with Tony Pro, the guy he fucking hates more than
What are the
anyone.
chances?
Yeah.
What are the odds of this?
What do they call him? The little man?
Yeah, little man or something like that.
because he keeps going, I don't want to meet with the little guy.
Little guy.
Don't make me meet the little guy. But that's Tony Pro. But he ends up getting locked up with them, and they end up getting a little bit of scrap.
They get in a scuffle.
Because we find out Jimmy Hoffa, he's kind of a badass when it comes to fighting.
You could tell they used a stunt double for that, though. Because he wouldn't look up when he tackled him off the thing.
I kept looking, too, and I kept looking for him to make it even more evident that it was a stunt double. I kept thinking he was going to look up and we're like, oh, that's different. But they did. But yeah,
they did a good job, though. Because it
was just a guy that wasn't obviously as fat as Al Pacino, like old man fat. You know, it was because you're not getting a 30-year-old stunt double.
No,
those guys are always 20 years old, even when they're playing fucking 70-year-old guys. You know, but you just got to old him up. You got to make him look a little bit older. But eventually, Hoffa, he gets the pardon. The good president Nixon. He says Jimmy Hoffa is a great fucking guy. It's because
let him out.
It's because Jimmy Hoffa got Nixon elected. Donated $500,000 to his
campaign earlier on. Yeah, good point.
It's so great to know that's all you have to do to get a pardon. You could do fucking anything, but if you donate money to an election, you're good, brother.
Oh hell yeah! Especially $500,000. Adieu, thank you.
Do whatever you want. You're okay in my book. But so he gets out of prison finally, and it takes him 2 seconds. And he's right back doing the exact same shit he was doing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he just wanted that power so bad.
Oh, yeah. They go out there like, Jimmy, what are you gonna do now? I'm taking back my union immediately. Even though he says multiple times he has $1.5 million in a pension fund that will last him
the rest of his life.
Yeah,
especially in the 1970s. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, 1970s, $1.5 million. I have to assume it's probably around $10 million.
$4 million.
Oh yeah, I mean maybe the low, but yeah, probably more around $4 million. But still, $4 million. He was already 70 years old.
Exactly. You could live off that. Even
going
if
down
you're
to
spending
Florida,
$500,000 a year, you're good for a decade.
Absolutely.
And knowing him, he would have gotten some shady shit with that money anyway. He would have put $500,000 into a business or something. Moving weapons.
Knowing that he had way more money than $1.5 million in a pension.
But the thing is, it was
never about the money. No,
it never was.
No, he never even thought of the possibility of him retiring, and that's why I kind of love they stay true to that. It's because De Niro. How many times did he try to get Pesci?
Man, he was trying to be a good friend.
Or not Pesci, but you know how many times did he try to get Jimmy Hoffa to just
so many times? He's like, dude, just lay off.
And he was giving and at the very end, he finally goes, "It is what it is."
Yeah, he goes, "It is what it is." And he goes, "Huh?" It is what it is. He's like, "Oh, don't be saying stuff like don't you tell me that. What do you mean it is what it is?"
Yeah, he's like, "It can't be what it is." He's like, because he's like, "They can't kill me because I have too much." And he kept saying, "It is what it is." And when some guy comes up to you and says, "It is what it is,"
that's an
you should be fucking
terrified. 9 times out of 10, that's not a good thing.
That's what I love about Scorsese. They get the dialogue so fucking right, man. It just feels so right. Like you're just hopping in a time machine and going back to 1960 or 1970 because everything they talk about the dialogue is perfect. It is what it is. Fuck, you come up to me and say that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
It is what it is. You don't change your ways, pal. It is what it is.
All right, I'm going to add that. It is what it is. You're still yelling that? I don't know what it is. You gotta. But yeah, during this time, Frank, he's still doing hits. He ends up going.
He is at this time.
He goes and he kills Crazy Joe, the guy in the fucking clam house or whatever. The guy that was just way too high up and mighty, you know. And that was a guy played by Sebastian, whatever his name is,
the comedian.
The comedian, but yeah, that guy. What was his deal? He was just a nut job. He wasn't afraid of anyone or anything, and he goes and he talks shit to Pesci's character at the Don Rickles show on his birthday, and Pesci says that night, "Go take care of that fucking guy," and he goes to the clam house, double pistols, and I like that scene a lot because he was talking about.
And he didn't care either because this guy was with his 11-year-old daughter.
Well, that was a scene when
when
he's got all the guns on the bed. He's like, you got to be known when you got to pick one gun. That's your go-to, and the gun was just in case. He's like, you don't want a silencer because you want people to know the sound.
But you also don't want it to be
a 45 because
it's
gun,
too loud and
because a cop 2 miles off. Yeah. That's true, man. And a 45 will just blow a guy in fucking half.
It will.
But I love that scene, man. That scene when he goes into the fucking the clam house. That is what it's called. And he,
you know what I liked about it too, and again, Scorsese does a great job with the realism. Because it wasn't just a clean cut, boom, done.
I was going to say the messiness of it makes it just add so... I mean, it's so much... I mean, that's how getting shot is. You don't just fall over.
You don't just fall over and die gracefully.
No.
I'm dead. No, it's brutal.
I mean, especially when flight or fight kicks in, you know? And Crazy Joe, he fucking took off.
He did.
I thought he was going to get away for a second.
He's like, see you guys later.
And what I read is for a long time, everyone thought that it was multiple guys that came in to shoot him because of just how crazy it was. And it was two guns and I was shooting. But yeah, for a long time, they thought it couldn't be one guy. But yeah, he ends up taking Crazy Joe out. Shoots the bodyguard also. Does not kill the bodyguard.
No.
Because he's got no beef with him.
No, that's what he says. And again,
I got nothing against that guy.
The dialogue's perfect in this film because there's so many like self-monologues. Like, in kind of like the third person,
well,
you know.
It's the Scorsese voiceover, you know.
The
voiceovers almost never work in film. At least for me,
but they always work in Scorsese
But they
films.
always work in Scorsese films.
I love them.
Even that shot of Pesci, you know, talking to the camera straight on. I love all that, you know, that stuff. But yeah, he goes in there, he kills Joe.
Guy tries to escape, comes out the door.
So cool, yeah.
Pop, 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 pop. Shoots him like 4 times. I'm like, dang, okay. One thing with the mobsters, they made sure you were dead.
Yes.
And this is another thing, Scorsese, one of my favorite things about this is like these mobsters that would get up for a split second. You'd see them for maybe a scene or two, and they'd give you how they were killed in what year.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We should talk about that. That was an awesome part of this entire movie was that underlying, because it always like...
It made you realize that these people don't last long either.
Exactly,
ever.
Because it's like every time you thought, man, this life is so fucking cool and everything, like how awesome would it be? It would give you that, boom, died, shot 6 times. Except for that one guy where they're like, he's a Big Tony, everyone loved him, died of natural causes. But one mobster guy who didn't kill anyone, he's just there having a good time. And
that's that same kind of humor as that Liam Neeson film.
What was it? Not the Iceman or something.
No, it was something. But that movie, that's what it reminded me.
Well, it's just that dry humor, and Scorsese does have that a lot. But this film it was funny. It was definitely funny at times, just because these guys were funny, you know. And that's again, it's that much more realism that all these guys have a personality and everything, you know, and their personalities are all bigger. The guy that he was working with, pushing the taxis in the river or whatever, that guy, he was funny also. The guy was like, man, this is a lot of fucking work. So you gotta know. He's like, you got a better way. He's like, yeah, you ever heard of Candy? Who the fuck is Candy? Yeah, like all those guys. That makes it so much real that all those guys have, you know, fucking personalities, and they're not all just bad mobsters.
Yeah, they're not just bad. Yeah, one-dimensional mobsters.
Exactly. Yeah, they're all fucking funny. And
by the way, Cold Pursuit was the name of that. That's what those little.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, they did do the same exact thing.
Every time someone died, it would be like, died of this, da-da-da, and go back.
I like that. I love he did it. Yeah, it was always funny every time it happened in this movie, The Irishman, because it was always fucking brutal. Man, shot six times in the head in his kitchen.
Yeah, do you understand what that, like, you're shot 6 times in your head. You shot 1 time. Their skull, you know, laying out and everything.
If you're shot more than
6 times, you're mush.
It's a message. It's a message at that point. You're not just killing someone. You're making sure that people know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all those guys were like shot 4 times in his car, shot 4 times in his kitchen. It was always in their own fucking house or property or whatever. Like they came to you. Scary. That was the good thing. Is they fucking always came to you. But yeah, it makes it scary.
That's even more. Yeah, it's even more terrifying in a lot of ways because it's like you're never safe anywhere. You're not even safe in your own home.
And that's a big part of it. Where I ask, is it worth it? Is it worth it where you're living this awesome life? But to me, every fucking waking moment, I'd be like, am I going to die? Is this guy going to come around the corner? Am I going to turn my car on and it's going to blow up? It's literally, because anyone can kill you for any reason at any time.
Exactly. And I literally thought that as I was watching the movie, because every time, dude, I get sucked into these monster movies. I'm like, man, what a life. What a life just to live on the edge. But then I'm like, but shit, every moment.
Yeah.
No matter what.
It takes just you either got to be really fucking dumb and just be like just oblivious and be and just like live to, or you just got to come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm. Every day and just be completely okay with it. Because I was watching this film and being like, oh, that guy. And like, if I were in that situation, you couldn't trust anyone. You just go and get a cup of coffee somewhere, and you're looking around, look in the room, see who's eyeballing you. That kind of shit.
Yeah, it's a certain kind of, because I remember the scene where they're in the fucking they're in the barber shop.
Oh yeah, that was.
I would never be getting a straight shave.
Never.
I wouldn't trust anyone with a razor. I'd be shaving. I'd be doing all my haircuts and everything on my own. Not like it mattered
because 2 guys lit him up.
Oh, yeah, they didn't even fucking shoot him. I mean, they didn't do the razor blade. They just shot him.
Yeah, they just shot him to death many, many times. I mean, you send 2 guys to shoot guns. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a big thing, yeah. Because remember, the guy that was inside that was supposed to be watching that guy, I'm guessing he left the building, and then those 2 guys come in, you know? Yeah, exactly. You can't trust anyone.
No.
Your bodyguard for 40 years. I mean...
Well, you pay him $400, and he's like, yeah, I'll take a step outside real quick. I ain't got no beef with you guys.
Yeah, because every time, if it's you or them, they're gonna choose themselves. Everyone. So how
every
do you
mobster's
ever
selfish.
trust?
Anyone? Inherently. Yeah. You always got to look out for numero uno.
Exactly. Am I gonna go do 30 years for this guy that would never do the same for me, or am I just gonna rat him out and go get a cup of coffee for 5 minutes and then have to look for a new job after? That's the worst case scenario. But yeah, so he's doing some killings for sure. He's even as the higher up he gets in the mob, they still have him go and do the killings. But it's that thing where they're not...
Because he was good at it, too.
That's that thing where they're not even fucking worried about him getting caught. Even though he becomes the head of a chapter, they're still having him go out and do, like, hits and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, or... He was great at it. The first thing that Hoffa says to him is, "I hear you paint houses." That's the first fucking.
What a
thing
good
that
line,
comes out of his
too.
mind. Yeah, it really is.
I hear you paint houses. Well, because when we had just walked into the theater at that point, but he goes, "Yeah, so I decided to start my own business. I started painting houses," and then it's him shooting the guy in the head while he's reminiscing in the past.
Yeah.
And it's, the blood splatters all over the house walls.
Oh, he's
and
painting
that's
houses.
kind of where it all came. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love that line. He says, he goes, "Yeah, I hear you paint houses." He goes, yeah, I do. I do my own carpentry also." Doing your own carpentry meant that you cleaned up the mess too. So you'd have to pay
You're
another.
You'd have to pay well-rounded guy.
Exactly, you did it and you cleaned up your most. That's something you look for.
Oh yeah, because that's a hardworking man. That's a
oh yeah,
that's a red-blooded American man right there.
Because normally I'm guessing some one guy would kill him and then you
gotta hire
pay
a cleanup crew.
Exactly, yeah. That's what they did with Hoffa. He didn't do the cleanup at that point. He was a little too high up, but yeah, you go hire a fucking cleaning crew and they get rid of it. But he did it all.
It's so crazy.
You cut out the
middleman.
middleman.
Stayed silent on that, and everyone's dead now.
Yeah,
no one talked.
We got to think there's only 3 people that knew about it.
Yeah,
except the 2 guys ended up doing 30 years. Yeah. He didn't say anything.
Nope.
That's wild.
It is
because he even said, I mean, the line you hear all the time, the only way to keep a secret between 3 people is 2 of them are dead.
Yep.
So the fact that happened, I mean, only fucking 2 people knew about Watergate and that shit even getting out. So yeah, it's wild that it was just, I guess, the perfect combination of people.
Yeah.
That just said, I'm not talking no matter what. But
and we'll never actually know what happened. I like the incinerator thing because in that montage, or that monologue rather, that dialogue where he's like, he's talking about the incinerator and he goes, yeah, people have their stories, they have their fantasies, but he goes, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah, the incinerator,
and then they just bring him into the incinerator.
That's the real thing that I was thinking of. Yeah, well, he wasn't buried under it, but yeah, incinerator. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no body then. There's nothing.
There's no evidence. It's dust.
Even if one guy came out and was like, I killed him. I mean, because Frank Sheeran, he did come out and say that he had a role in it and he did know where his body ended up. You got nothing. You can't prove it. You have to have evidence.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's all hearsay. I mean, if anything.
Yeah, you just be a crazy asshole. It says, I mean, how many people probably in the past have came out and said they killed Jimmy Hoffa? It's probably thousands.
Of course. But they don't have any evidence. No proof. So what are you going to do?
And he got rid of the gun. That's the big thing. If he had the gun, if he threw the gun in a river or something, they could recover the gun. But he incinerated the fucking gun also.
Smart.
Oh, he's a smart man. But yeah, so Jimmy right now, it's not looking so good for him.
No.
He's rising through the ranks.
And he's still being stubborn.
He's got to go apologize to Tony Pro. Tony Pro and them, we know they fucking hate each other. They go and they sit down in Florida, and it's a great great scene. It's one of the more lighthearted scenes for sure.
And the whole theater laughed.
Yep, absolutely.
At these parts.
When they're talking about the time.
Acting.
The time.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, what about 12? What about 12 and a half?
I say 15. Yeah, I mean 15. No, 15's too long. 10 minutes I wait and that's it.
Yeah, he's like, I did account for traffic. That's why I said 10 minutes.
He goes, you got to account for traffic. And I love that whole, like, the discussion goes on for like 10 minutes.
It does.
And then finally Frank goes, 12 and a half.
He's like, come on.
And everyone's
guys,
like, all right.
Yeah.
But Pacino was never going to apologize to him.
Never.
He was literally all he had to do. I mean, that was the start of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, because it wasn't just between Pacino and fucking Tony Pro. All the mob families wanted them to work that out, because.
Well, it'd bring peace and wouldn't be so.
Oh yeah,
convoluted, corrupt.
And then you got another guy. Although the guy that they had working the fucking Teamsters,
he was giving out massive loans.
He was more corrupt than
he was
anyone. He was just a fucking someone. They just
basically what they were trying to do is keep Jimmy quiet. They were just trying to make peace and keep everything quiet because they were still getting what they wanted with the other
even better now.
Fitz,
because Fitz wasn't getting anything. All that guy had to do is sit on the fucking golf course. You can keep that guy happy. He's on the links all day. You can do whatever the hell you want. And they said it. They said after they shot at that one guy that was also part of the Teamster. He said after that, it was smooth sailing. He said you didn't have to do anything. And Fitz would just sign it over to you. But so they didn't want Hoffa. They got a way better Hoffa.
They got a Hoffa 2.0.
Before Hoffa had to approve loans, he had to also get something out of him for himself. Fitz just approves fucking. He was signing
terrified.
checks.
Yeah. And he was living the good life.
He was just golfing with Nixon at one point, which is pretty good. But yeah, so Hoffa's got to meet with, and it doesn't go so well. Tony Pro, it blows up. Frank's trying to do everything to keep it together, but eventually Hoffa says no. He says he can't do it, and he makes Frank a president of a different fucking chapter. Mm-hmm. And Frank ends up going through the ranks there, but yeah, and then it all leads to kind of this dinner that Frank's having because they're giving him some award for being such a fucking great.
What a great man Frank was.
And I love how again it's just you don't believe it hearing about it, but just how careless these guys were with knowing that they could not be touched. Because at that dinner, the guy sitting next to the mayor. He's like, yeah, and I hear we got a couple FBI agents out in the bushes. Someone go check on them. And they all just start fucking busting up laughing. Even the mayor's cracking up. It's just crazy to me how much pull that they fucking... People forget about that, man. But
crazy time in American history.
It is. Yeah. It is. But it's always a crazy time in American history.
Good point.
You can't just point out a time and be like, it was solid here.
That was crazy. Yeah, now it's pretty good.
You can't. It's always.
I mean, it's always good in the United States. We have it better than anyone else. But we're talking corruption wise. Yeah, there's always corruption.
Corruption's definitely hit peaks for sure.
Yes,
it was a peak then. I think it's peaking now again. But it was. It goes to the very top where like this can be drops down, then just gets built back up. There's no stopping it. People are inherently corrupt. We just got to get robots going, man. I'm telling you.
Let's
bring
just have
that AI.
Rule the world.
They don't want money.
They don't want
women
anything.
or cocaine.
No, they definitely don't want. They stay away from the cocaine.
Yeah, they don't mean fucking. But yeah. So Frank asked Jimmy Hoffa to present this award to him, and it's kind of a tense moment because Frank is really good friends with Jimmy, but Frank is also really good friends with the most powerful mobsters in Philadelphia at this point. So they're all at the dinner also.
Yeah.
All these guys, what was his name? Fat Tony? It is Fat Tony.
Fat Tony.
Because he's like, what? Tony? They're all fucking named
Tony.
Tony.
Like, Tony. Tony who? Come on.
And then, but I love how he says, Frank, he goes, he just says the other Tony.
Yeah, the other Tony.
And then he immediately knows. And he goes, oh shit. Yeah.
Tony
That's
Pro.
Fat Tony. Yeah. But yeah, so Fat Tony's there. Harvey Keitel's character is there. And Russ Bufalino's also. Oh, and Bill Bufalino's there also. Ray Romano. And the other guy, what's his name? The guy that brings him in a bunch of time is like Skinny Razor or something. The guy that brought him into the
stakes originally.
Exactly. Yeah, the stakes. Yeah, the guy who he first met really. But Yeah, he's there. Everyone's there, and it's a big party. Jimmy's having a good time, but I love the scene where he's eating a steak and he's just staring down the most powerful men, arguably the most powerful men in the country at the time.
At the time, yes, it was.
He just knew, man.
Did not care.
Of course, he also thought that he was untouchable too. Jimmy thought that there's no way that anybody could kill me because I've been working with these mobsters for 30 fucking years, and I know so much information about them. But again, even he didn't realize the pull that they had. And I love the scene where he's like, it's real intimate, it's real close, and you can almost barely hear it. But Frank goes, they can kill presidents. He goes, they wouldn't have a problem killing the president of a union.
Exactly. That was a super significant scene. I was like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts everything into perspective on how much power
it does, and it buys into the theory that JFK was killed by the mob, which... He's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. Not at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the CIA and the mob weren't working together. Because the CIA and the mob were working together. Frank got all those guns down there, and he delivered it to what's his name, Big Ears, the guy.
I forget his name.
You staring at my ears?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not staring
not at all.
Well, you might be staring at my ears. People stare at my ears. But yeah, they were working hand to hand. So it's not out of the realm to believe that JFK didn't have a role in. And the guy he ends up talking to, the fairy, remember the guy? He's a fairy named Fairy. That's a real guy who they also had said had a hand in shooting JFK, or who knew Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, that's what I was wondering. What do you think about Lee Harvey Oswald? Do you think he was set up then, or do you think he actually shot the president?
Oh, I think he did shoot him.
Okay,
but I think that
you know, help.
Oh, I think he had help by the mob and the CIA. Both of them were helping him. Yeah, too. Because
they framed him as a communist, did they not, or a socialist?
It was it's very complicated because he was very anti-Cuban. And that's the reason that that he was on the CIA's watch list at all, was because he was very anti-Cuban, and they thought that that's a really good reason for someone to shoot, I don't know, JFK, I guess, but yeah, and Lee Harvey Oswald, he died almost immediately. He was killed
in the open
by Frank Ruby, another mobster.
Yeah, right.
A mobster who owned a huge nightclub and was in debt to the mob. So you gotta be. It's a little
put the pieces together, right? Frank Ruby was either gonna get killed by the mob or do a favor for him.
I think you really gotta be putting your head in the sand to say that it has no connection at all, and that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone fucking wolf and just did it off his own intuition. I think it's ridiculous to say, but so Jimmy, he gives Frank the award. And the whole night they're going back and forth talking about the whole Jimmy Hoffa situation. And eventually Joe Pesci's character, Russ Bufalino, tells him the ultimatum. He says it's just you gotta let him know how it is. And that's what Frank tells Jimmy. He says it is what it is.
When he tells him that at his wedding, his daughter's wedding. Not Jimmy Hoffa, Russell's wedding. Russell's daughter's wedding?
He tells that? No, Russ didn't have any kids. No, that's the...
Or no, Bill. Bill Bufalino's daughter. That wedding. It was just someone's wedding that he was telling him. He pulled him aside. He's like, it is what it is.
No, that was the dinner. That was the dinner of the Teamster where he was getting the award, because Jimmy Hoffa doesn't go to Bill's wedding because the wedding happens after Jimmy Hoffa gets killed.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because remember, they're all there, and he's super like, what the fuck? Because everyone else is celebrating, and
that's right.
He tells him at the dinner that it is, and Jimmy still says, I'm not doing it. He says, I'm not stepping down. He's like, they can't kill me. I got too much fucking information. Right. And he even tells Frank, he's like, maybe you should get some bodyguards. He's like, because if they'll come after me, they'll come after you.
Right.
But little did he know that Frank really had no connection to Jimmy. He was much more... he chose to be more in the mob than he was more with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. So Frank knew. He knew shit was going to go down. And he knew... And he was just... You could tell the way he was telling Jimmy Hoffa.
Well, there was so much tension, too. And the way... He just wanted to be like...
I know Jimmy was just like... Listen. He was just partying. Like, I got to get back on the dance floor, my guy. Keep that shit... Keep that with you. And I'm going to get back there.
Think about it. Don't think about it. Now think about it. Now give me 10 minutes and I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to
go swing with your daughter, but this is all great shit you're telling me right now.
It's really soaking in.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to come back to you, but I'm going to think about it for sure. But no, he wasn't thinking about it. He says, he says he's just going to keep going at it. He says he can't get killed. And that's when we flash back and they're kind of on the road trip going and collecting money and shit like that. And they're going down to the wedding. That's what it is. They're going down to Florida, I think it was. I think it was Florida where they're going down. Because they had to take a plane to Detroit. So I think it was Florida where they were.
Okay.
But yeah, they're going down. They're collecting money and everything. And eventually they go and they stop somewhere. And Frank is supposed to meet with Jimmy the next day to, again, try to smooth they're giving him so many goddamn chances.
So many.
It's unbelievable. But
at some point, you just got to wash your hands of
you
this.
really do. Like, it's like this guy.
Get the deed done.
Well, he became too much of a danger. I mean, he was
way too much of a liability.
Especially when he was telling Frank, I'll fucking send all of them to prison. And Frank was like, this is what they're worried about, Jimmy. He's like,
you can't be saying out loud. You can't be saying shit like that, man.
Yeah.
You get locked up forever.
The one thing the mob hates more than anyone is rats.
Yeah.
So for Jimmy to be like, I'll fucking
and
rat on it.
to threaten to lock them all up forever, that's not a good sign.
And not even that, but he's yelling that in the same room as 5 of the most powerful.
Yeah.
And I love that scene between Tony Pro and Pesci and Fat Tony, when Jimmy Hoffa's dancing with Frank Sheeran's daughter, and she looks over and they're all just staring at him.
Yeah.
And she fucking knows more than anyone what that means. And they're all staring at him like fucking sharks. Like they're staring at him like, oh, we got to figure this problem out, because they're all just, but Jimmy has no clue.
No, he doesn't.
He's just doing the Charleston. He's just having a great fucking time. He's going to be president again. But so they go and, they go to Florida, but Russ tells him that Russ tells Frank that he's got to go take a plane ride. That they're going to go, and he tells him that you're not going to meet Jimmy. And it's kind of that start of that very somber, brutal part of the movie. Right. When they're sitting down at that breakfast table and they're eating the fucking Life cereal, whatever, and he tells him that it was either him or us. It tells him that I had to involve you or it wasn't going to happen. And he tells him, don't call. He says, don't call. And he says he's going to go. He's going to drop him off at an airport. And he's just going to fucking wait there. And he does. He waits over 4 hours. A very patient man.
Yeah, I'd say so.
No phones or anything.
Back
He's
in the day.
sitting. You have nothing to do. He didn't bring a book along. But, so Frank is going to go meet Jimmy. And he's going to go meet him. And they're going to go smooth this whole thing out. You know, they're going to be best friends, and the mob's going to be best friends with Jimmy, and it's all going to work out. Tony Pro's going to be there.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Smooth sailing, baby. Not the case.
No.
Unfortunately.
No.
Frank goes down. He has directions to meet at a house. The house is completely fucking empty. You got to think mobsters just had these empty houses all over the fucking place.
No, you send someone in there, you keep them inside. Put a couple rounds in them, clean up the mess.
Keep the house. You don't got to sell the house. You can just keep murdering people in it.
Well, did you see that they were constantly changing the flooring too?
Well, I think they were tearing the floor up because they're going to shoot him and then wrap him in the
up.
floor.
Yeah.
Cause
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
in a mob house, you just it's
cheap.
Yeah. You're not spending that. You're not spending a lot
of money.
There's a
guy
in
nice there
carpet.
Changing carpets every week. He's thinking, man, these people spill a lot of red wine.
They do.
But they were keeping me in business with this carpet.
And I'm not going to say anything because it's the 70s and I don't want to get murdered.
And I know people are getting murdered, but I'm not going to say anything.
As long as it ain't me.
Because in the 70s, you just piped down about everything.
You did.
If you thought your neighbor was a serial killer, keep it to yourself.
If you thought your husband was a serial killer back in the 70s, you didn't say
You're being
anything.
a nosy bitch.
Yeah, exactly. That was the mentality.
Honey, why are you coming home covered in mud and blood at 3 a.m.? God, this fucking naggy cunt.
God damn. I was slaughtering a pig. Babe,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we live in the city. Just shut your mouth.
Yeah, not a lot of questions asked.
No.
Which is the one thing I do like about the future.
More questions.
People ask questions about everything. Nothing is on the up and up. And that's what these years taught us. Maybe that's why the mob can't operate in this day and age. There's too many fucking questions.
Even their peons are like, hey, boss, why are we doing this?
The mob literally runs on the business of 0 questions asked. As soon as people start asking questions, the mob stops running.
Yes.
Because you're going to get answers you don't
They had the
want.
old military saying, don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. I think they had that also with gay people in the
did
mob.
as well. And in the military.
They also, we just don't want to know. Yeah. But, so they go and... Frank goes to the house. There's a bunch of guys waiting, and who's waiting there? What was that guy's name?
No one was waiting in the house. When it was him and Hoffa?
No, when he first goes to the house.
Oh, when he first goes.
There's 2 guys waiting there, and the guy with
the
Sally Beggs. Was that his name?
That sounds pretty close.
That was the guy that killed the other guy for Hoffa because he was getting more votes than him. Yeah, and I love that scene because Frank is like, I'm not sitting in the fucking front because he knows
Sally Bugs.
Sally Bugs. Sally Bugs was a fucking cold killer.
He definitely was.
But yeah, I love that scene when he's like, the whole fish scene. He's like, yeah, I spilled fish. He's like, I'll sit there. He's like, no, don't worry about it. He's like, I'll fucking sit there. He goes, I'm not sitting in the front. Because he knew that Sally Bugs loves to strangle people from the back of the goddamn car, and he ain't fucking risking that.
No, he's not.
No way.
I wouldn't either. I'd never feel comfortable.
I'd
with
get
that
a
guy.
fucking convertible, so I didn't have a back seat. So Sally Bugs has to sit in the front. I am not risking that guy sitting in the fucking back of me. There's no way. It's not gonna happen.
Never a good scenario.
But so Sally Bugs is there, 2 other guys there, and again, it's fucking somber. Because Frank goes in there and he's like, oh, it's really happening, Yeah. I really got to do this. And then Jimmy Hoffa's son pulls up.
Oh, Chuck O'Brien. Yeah.
That was odd. What a weird involvement. That guy had no idea he was delivering his dad to his fucking deathbed.
Yeah.
That was his adopted, and that was the guy played by
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons, yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
It is.
That's shitty. That's the kind of shit the mob did, though.
Yeah, of course.
They're playing psychological warfare. I mean, like Frank going and killing that guy in front of his family.
Or how about...
you got to do it.
Yeah, Frank talking later on to the priest, and he goes, I just can't believe I made that call. He's talking about the call to his wife, telling her, oh, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to find him. When he was the one who murdered him.
That was maybe the most brutal scene to watch. Was him calling Jimmy Hoffa's wife. And like you wanted him so badly just to break down. But like that's just not the kind of guys these were.
And he couldn't.
And any other guys that's writing this movie is having that scene where he just breaks down. But this just...
It's not reality. It's not what Scorsese does anyway.
It's not what these mob guys did. No. It's not what a guy that was spent 411 days in combat is going to do. They're not going to just break. It's not a guy that kills people for a living. It's not going to just break down like he's been bottling his emotions. Yeah. A guy like that doesn't have those fucking emotions. But we learned that it was a struggle for him to kill someone that he actually knew and actually cared for. But it ends up happening. But and it's a brutal...
It is. Because Jimmy Hoffa walks in,
and
he's like,
again, it's messy.
Yeah,
he knows immediately.
Yeah, he knows immediately. He goes, "Something's up. Let's get out of here." And Frank just with the
it sucks because it didn't give him time to think about it. Because he's like, "I got to do it now or never. I can't." He can't. He literally can't leave this house, or it's not gonna happen. Or I'm just gonna fucking die if he leaves the house. Yeah. But yeah, it gave him no time to think, And then
to be fair, though, at least he put him out of his misery fast.
And no one, it wasn't really ever their thing, too, unless the intention was to torture.
But yeah,
it was quick. It was efficient. But yeah, I think that really kind of freaked him out when he was there and no one else was there. He was like, "Is this fucking?" It was tense for me because I'm like, "Is this
super tense?"
Because I put myself in the situation. I'm like, my best friend now. No one's there. Is it off? Is it not off? And then you just got to fucking do it. And then I guess that was the entire plan for no one to be there. But he does. Kills him 2 to the fucking head. Efficient. Drops him. Drops the gun on top of him. Heads out.
That's a lot of faith that Frank put in to the mob too, because they could have very well just framed him for that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they would. It's probably not beneficial for the mob to frame him.
No, because, again, you're worried that Frank will flip on everyone. So, yeah, I mean,
good point.
They could have easily fucking killed him, though. And that was the thought going through his head constantly was, I am probably next then. I mean, that's the way you clean up everything.
Yep.
But
you kill the guy that killed the guy that killed the guy.
But again, Pesci's character.
That's how they used to do it.
Pesci character gave him that ring.
Yeah.
At the end, so he was damn near untouchable at that time. He was so high up.
3 people had that ring.
Yeah, and the only Irishman.
Yes.
And for them to ever even accept anyone that was outside of Italian was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's something Robert De Niro's done in the past. In Goodfellas, he was Irish also, and that's why he could never be made, because you can't be made if you're not full-blood Italian.
In Casino, Goodfella, or no, it was either Casino or Goodfella. No, it was Goodfellas.
Yeah, in every role, he's never a full-on Italian or whatever.
He's not.
Because but that's how Robert De Niro is. Robert De Niro is half Irish, half Italian. So I think that comes from him being raised, and he was raised in New York too, among just Italians.
during that time period.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But that's kind of interesting to think about. Is he was never, and this is the only role where they let him go all the way to the top. Of course, they weren't going to make him. They weren't going to make him a main man or whatever.
No, of course not.
But you got that sweet, giant, fucking
It was
cool.
pretty nice looking.
It was like a decoder ring.
Yeah.
It looked like you could have maybe a compass on there or something. That thing was hefty.
Yeah. Probably made of real gold too, my guess. There's only 3
I'm sure
around.
not cheaping out. Yeah, I'm guessing he had one. Harvey Keitel's character had one, and Frank. Yeah. It never says who the other 2 is, but I'm guessing that's the other guy that had one. But yeah, so he kills Hoffa. Later on, a crew does end up coming and
incinerating his body and the firearm.
And we see it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that Scorsese definitely wanted to make clear. Like this is how it happened. Yeah, which is nuts because one's ever.
And I'd believe it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that is what Frank said. He said he was disintegrated, which is the best fucking way to kill anyone.
And I figured if you're a mobster back then, you would have just had an incinerator at your home.
Well,
or in a warehouse somewhere.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was they ran funeral homes.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So they could just go into them and go, yeah. They did. They owned a lot of funeral homes. So, I mean, that's a good way to do it, for sure. But
there's a lot of money to be made on the dead.
Oh, yeah.
Those funeral homes make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, and who knows what kind of money they're making on the side.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll take care of that body. You give me $10,000, it's off the record.
But it costs $20 of the propane you got to use to burn the body.
To burn the place, yeah.
I know, man. That's why you got to be scared of, like, funeral directors.
Because
they make the perfect serial killer. One, they're great with dead people.
They are really
They can easily get rid of bodies.
Yeah.
No trace. I mean, you got
It's alarming to think about. But
you gotta be cautious. All I'm saying. I don't want to say, we got to arrest every funeral director, but you gotta be cautious.
Yeah, but at the same time, be vigilant, be alert.
Ask questions is all I'm asking. Is all I'm telling you is ask questions. But so they incinerate Jimmy Hoffa, and Frank goes to the wedding first, which is. You're not in a wedding mood at that point.
Of course.
Weddings suck for one.
Yeah.
But everyone's just cheering, having a great time. And
you just murdered your best friend?
Yeah. And even having fucking Russ there also, and he's cheering like nothing happened. I mean, that's those guys. But again, that's what those guys did. Kill guys 1 hour and then.
The next hour, they're celebrating with their family.
They're dads.
Or
they're just normal dads. They're normal guys again. But that's what's scary is how they just turn it on and off. And that's what Anna Paquin's character hated.
She hated
was the fact that he could go from that and then come and you got to act like he's just a regular dad now. The fact you just saw him destroy a grocer's hand.
Man, that final scene though with Peggy was heartbreaking. He was just getting so much older and she still wanted nothing to do with him. She couldn't even look at him in the eyes.
You can't, yeah. And I understand it 100%.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, just a guy. I mean, you got to think, he's only asking forgiveness now that he's at the end of his life. Mm-hmm. Now he's scared of what's going to happen next, and now he's asking all this forgiveness, which he even says, he's like, because at the end, when he's talking to the priest, he's like, do you feel any remorse? He's like, well, now that I'm here talking about it, he's like, but then he goes, no.
Yeah, he goes, no, I don't.
He's like, I never knew any of them. He's like, what are their families? I didn't know their families either. You don't have to know of personally a family to know that they're going to go through some shit once you kill their goddamn husband. But yeah, so he goes home to his family, and his daughters are all sitting there, and it's 2 days after Jimmy Hoffa has been disappearing. It's on the news and everything. But yeah, so they're all kind of worried, like, oh, your best friend has disappeared and you haven't called his wife yet in 2 days? That's a fucking red flag.
A big red flag.
And everyone knows it, though, so it's not big. But everyone's like, yeah, that's kind of odd, Frank. You know, keep up the appearance that you're a normal fucking guy.
Exactly, please.
But that's how you knew he was actually going through something, because he totally forgot about it. And then he does. He calls the scene. It's, again, the best acting Robert De Niro has done in probably 20 years.
A long time. It was really good. It was powerful, too, man, because it's just like being put in that situation would be the worst.
And just the dialogue and everything felt so real, with him struggling to get words out, and him just, it's okay, it's okay, and he just kept saying it and saying it, trying to convince himself and convince the hysterical Joe Hoffa. It was a powerful woman in her own right. Joe Hoffa was. She was getting shit done as well, but yeah, and
probably not so much after her husband died.
Well, they ended up fucking, even when he was alive, they ended up firing her. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yep.
That's when Hoffa got really pissed.
He got pissed about that.
Her $48,000 a year.
1970,
that's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
That just goes to show you how little salaries have gone up, because that's a fucking good salary now in our fucking day and age. So that's just, I thought, I'm like, man, $48,000, $1970? I'd be pissed too, even though he had $1 million in the fucking bank. But yeah, he goes, and then it keeps going, and it gets into his retirement, and or it gets into, provincially, they all go to jail.
They all go to prison, yeah.
But
and they all start dying off one by one.
Like anyone does in prison. You just fucking deteriorate. Your health goes from, sitting in a cold cell every day, that's going to happen to anyone.
Especially in Philadelphia, when you're locked up there. They were freezing out there in the courtyard.
Oh, yeah. But I liked how they were playing a little bit hibachi, getting a little hibachi game in. Saw that. They were real.
Fun game.
Wheeled him in.
I love how Pesci was still a smart ass. Even then, he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You need to be locked in here another 10 years to beat me."
Yeah.
As he's like rolling the ball from his wheelchair.
But it gets to that fucking somber mentality of just what that life does to you. Mm-hmm. Eventually, those guys, they all fucking died of cancer. They all end up, if you lived to that long, they all fucking suffered it. It's almost like the universe getting a little bit payback just then. Mm-hmm. Fat Tony got prostate cancer. We saw him get the colonoscopy. He got to go through one of those once a day. He got fucking prostate cancer. Yeah. And yeah, Joe Pesci's character just deteriorated, they said. He said they were all drugged up and they're all fucking loopy. They don't let you use a fucking cane.
Nope. Because they classify that as a weapon.
Yeah. How do you get around if you need a fucking
wheelchair?
Yeah, and then you got to have some guy wheel you, and the guard's not going to wheel you. You got to pay some fucking guy.
Some nurse or something to wheel you around.
Well, they just had prisoners. It was probably just some other lower guy that got in the mob, yeah. But eventually, though, it's just putting that bow on what that life was, and this whole movie is just about how hard it is on that life. And eventually, Russ Bufalino, he goes to church one last time, or probably for the first time.
For the first time and the last time.
He's like, I maybe want to ask for some forgiveness for some things.
Remember about that guy that was also hung on the cross with Christ, and he asked for forgiveness and went to heaven? That's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. So I'll see you in church.
He did, and I love that scene, man. That was such a good scene, and you just knew it was.
You hear Frank's monologue, going off. Voiceover, whatever.
He goes. He went to church. Mm-hmm. He went to the hospital, and then he never came.
And then he went to the graveyard.
Yeah. And let's just talk about them dipping fucking bread in wine.
Disgusting.
The 1950s diet was.
What a crazy time.
Oh. Wet bread.
I think that was the thing I was most surprised about. It wasn't the shootings, the killings.
It's just so gross, dude. That's back in the day when they had like mayonnaise pie and shit like that. Where they're
what are we doing here, folks?
They had zero taste. Just dipping whole chunks in red wine. Just soggy bread for one. Who the fuck loves soggy bread?
Not me. I'm not a fan. I'm not dipping my bread in milk.
It's so gross. Yeah, they get. Oh my god, that was fucking disgusting. They did it multiple times too throughout the movie, but I like their last scene of them eating bread one last time in the yard or whatever. They couldn't use wine, so they used grape juice or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it goes to the acting of Pesci. Pesci was shaking and whatnot, and he seemed completely out of it.
And it kind of goes back. I don't know if this was supposed to be a kind of like a parallel there. But you look at the bread and the wine, the Last Supper kind of thing. And that's kind of what I got out of that, where it was like the bread and the wine for the Last Supper, and that was kind of their Last Supper, you know. And they were both, with Frank being a Catholic, you know.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe there's some ties there. Maybe that's...
It might have... It definitely... I mean, it's definitely possible. We know that Scorsese is not one to shy away with adding religious parallels.
Well, no,
you know,
I mean, he literally did The Temptation of Christ.
And he was going to be a priest before he got into filmmaking.
He was a filmmaker,
he wanted to be a priest. Yeah, he was going to school for that. And yeah, so he does. So I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. It's symbolizing because almost right at the start of their relationship, they break bread and share wine and everything like that. And they do the same thing at the end also. So exactly. I didn't catch it the first time, but now you're saying it. Yeah, that definitely does make sense. Yeah. It's definitely, but maybe the father and the son kind of thing.
Yep.
Because he was like a father to him. He did fucking raise him, but yeah, and that was the end of their. I mean, because their entire life was mob life. So once you're not in the mob anymore, as someone that was in the mob for 30 years, it's there's no more life.
No,
you know, you're just waiting for death at that point. And Pesci knew it. You know, Pesci wasn't gonna wait around. I'm sure it doesn't get into it, but to my inference, he just ended it. I mean, he got someone just to kill him, you know, in the infirmary or whatever, gave him too many pills or whatever. But because, you know, he gives him that little nod right before he goes, I'm going to church. And he smiles at him and he did. But it's such a great scene.
It is.
It is a great scene. Eventually, though, Frank ends up getting out of jail. What a crazy.
He's definitely an old man at this point, though.
He is. He definitely is. And they de-age him for this. You know, they said they used no prosthetics or makeup or anything for this.
Really?
Which is wild. Yeah.
That is insane.
It's wild.
That's kind of sad, though.
He did, and it was because the main thing that I read was Scorsese's thinking, he's like, after this, there's going to be a lot less makeup and everything. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. And that for Scorsese to say that, which is the guy that does everything by the book, he shoots his movies just like he shot in the 1970s. That was a big thing Pacino said. He's like, shooting this movie was like shooting in the 1970s. But yeah, for him to say that, that sucks. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if I made a movie, I'd always use prosthetics still.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Blood and gore and everything. Oh. Even though, but for this kind of thing where you're just using technology just for that little bit, just to add a little more depth to the film, I'm 100% perfectly fine with. But yeah, so he's going around, he's making his amends, kind of. He's picking out a casket from Action Bronson. Did you know who that was that bought him the casket?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's a famous rapper, Action Bronson.
Oh,
I like his rap a lot, actually. But yeah, he sells him the casket, and it's kind of a funny moment because he's like, most people don't go out and pick their own casket.
No. Well, that was funny, too. He goes, who is this for? He goes, it's from me. I go, oh.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I can do 7.5. He goes, what, you can't go any cheaper on that? He goes, okay,
six,
for you,
six cash today. Since you're taking it home today. Yeah. But yeah, and then he goes and he tries to talk to Anna Paquin, his lost daughter. He talks about that day that he came home after the Hoffa killing. She never talked to him again because she knew. Everyone fucking knew. But yeah, so, and we didn't talk about that scene, but I like that scene where she just goes, why? And he goes, what do you mean? And she just says, why? Because you know she was asking, why did you kill him?
Why'd you kill him?
But really, she was asking why do you not call yet? But yeah, and he goes to her job at a bank. He's using fucking double crutches. He's Tiny Tim in it.
Yeah, Tiny Tim. Yeah,
he's double crutching it. Looks real fucking sad.
Yeah,
sad as hell. But he goes, tries to find his daughter, and won't even look at her. No. And he goes to his other daughter, and he's like, why? Well, what's going on? I don't know. And she's like, are you fucking serious?
Come on, Frank. Come on, you know why.
It's this crazy thing where he almost... I mean, I knew he knew. He'd just been lying to himself for 30 years, thinking, oh, his family's got no idea what he's doing. I mean, it's the same. It reminds me of Richard Kuklinski. The Iceman. He was thinking he could go kill people and then come home and just
be a normal, average.
When in reality, his family life was just falling apart. They fucking hated it.
His wife was terrified of him.
Yeah, and his kids hated him too. Yeah. They knew that he was a psychopath. It's the same.
I read The Iceman, the book.
Yes, so did I. Yeah.
That book's wild. It's crazy.
It's the same exact thing, though. You know, your family knows. You know, you can't hide something like that from them. You just you can't. Not when that is your main career. Mm-hmm. Now, you might be able to hide from your family that you're a serial killer for a little bit. because that's not your main job. You're not, going to clock it in.
You can still work a 40-hour week, I guess.
BTK, he had a normal life. He went and killed a lot of people, and and I believe that they actually had no idea. Yeah. But it wasn't his full-time job. Like, he wasn't coming home drenched in blood like fucking Frank was coming home.
Kidding. Or Russ with his wife.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take care of it. When it's a full-time job, your family fucking knows. And that's what's hard on them. And that's what none of these mobsters ever take into fucking consideration is how this is affecting they are incredibly vain. I mean, I guess someone that kills people for a living, you have to have that disconnect from people. But it's not good, man. If you're killing people, don't start a family.
I would have to agree with that.
I just can't. I can't.
Just keep it to yourself.
I can't condone it.
Yeah, no.
Go pass those genes down.
What are you teaching your children? Come on.
What's even the process of that? Like, I got a great job killing people. I got to bring more fucking kids into this world. I got to replenish
the earth because I'm taking many away. I guess, in all fairness,
you put back what you take out. Yeah. Okay, you gotta, I gotta pop one out for every fucking guy I'm killing. But no, the family isn't having it, and he does. He ends up dying alone.
He does in the retirement home.
His wife died way earlier, or his second wife died. We never fucking hear about the first wife again. Who knows what the fuck happened to her? But his second wife died early on, so she couldn't see him. But after that, he had no one. Even the kids that liked him weren't around.
No, of course not.
Because they liked him. Yeah. Probably because they're giving him free shit when it's your dad, but. You're not hanging out with him on his deathbed because you don't like him that fucking much. And he does. He ends up, the only one he has left is the priest at the very end. And again, maybe that's a parallel to, it's obvious a parallel to religion, but that's all he had at the very end. And it was just him trying to get into good graces of whatever is next on the other side. Yep. And he was trying hard.
He was
probably talking to that priest every fucking day. Yeah. Even though he felt no remorse. But he felt like, you got one last chance. You might as well try to get straight to the top.
One more prayer.
Yeah, fuck, why not? But, it's sad, too. It is sad.
It is.
Because you do end up feeling for this guy. That's a horrible, in a weird way. Horrible guy. But you end up feeling for him. And he does. The last scene is just him sitting in the hospice, I guess.
And he tells the priest, he goes, don't shut the door. I want the door shut all the way. Just keep it open a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's probably because he feels so lonely.
Oh, absolutely.
That was my guess.
Oh, that's what I got too. Yeah. Even that small comfort of knowing that there's someone on the other side of that door just gives him. And it was true to, remember at the end, he was like, he's like, cremation's too final. It was funny. He kept saying it. He's like, and burying's too final. He's like, but if they put you in a building, that building's got to stay there forever because it's a building. You can't tear down a building.
Like, which is not very good logic at all. I think being
he was just lying. Yeah, because he was just scared,
Yeah, scared of death.
And death is the final. It's the end, scary, So it is scary. But for a guy like that and a guy who did so much bad, you even got to think it's 10 times more scary. Because you got to think it's either you're going to go and there's nothing, or you're going to go and there's going to be some kind of revenge on you.
Yeah.
And all these people that you killed are going to be fucking waiting there when you get down to whatever hell you're going
bucko,
to.
Yeah.
We've been waiting a long time to see fucking Frank come through those doors.
That son of a bitch shot me 6 times in the head.
In my own fucking kitchen, I was kicking eggs. I was
cooking mac and cheese. Come on, what are we doing?
Son of a bitch.
Bastard.
But, yeah, that's how it ends. He ends up... Of course, he ends up not being cremated, not being buried, putting into a, what do they call him, mausoleum, for no one to go and visit him, I'm guessing. But he will be there forever, and that's not so final, I guess. I know the whole time I'm thinking, what does he think he's coming back?
Yeah, I know.
Like, once his body's gone, I can't come back or something? Keep my body around. I'm coming back for that shit.
I guarantee people do probably visit his gravesite, though, out of curiosity, to see where Frank Sheeran died.
Oh, yeah. Although he's not still that well known. He doesn't.
But, I mean, after this movie, maybe.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm sure probably right now, I don't even think you can just walk into a mausoleum. I think it's still kind of private.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, for mausoleums, at least. I think you. But yeah, that was Yeah, on his Wikipedia page doesn't have a picture. I was just
no, it doesn't. It doesn't, which is so crazy to me that
wild.
It doesn't have one single picture of Frank.
But again, it adds to the fact that he stayed so off the grid for so long to the point where, you know, because we saw Jimmy Hoffa made him. Yeah, where we saw the point where Jimmy Hoffa made him stay in the same room as him because he didn't want him on the books ever. So he literally, and that was the way he was able to kill people and then also still be a president of a fucking chapter. He just flew under the radar forever. No one fucking knew
wild.
him. Yeah. And he was also 6'4" in real life.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I can tell based on these pictures.
He's 6 inches taller than Robert De Niro is in real life.
Jeez.
They said they used platforms and a trick perspective to make him look bigger in the film, but he doesn't look 6'4" in this.
Joe Pesci looks pretty close to Russell, though.
Oh, they did a great fucking job.
They did.
For sure. Yeah. And I know I've seen pictures of Jimmy Hoffa. Al Pacino, they did a good job of making him look like Jimmy Hoffa, I thought. I mean, he kind of naturally looks like Jimmy Hoffa. Well, Mason, that was it. That was our 3.5 adventure to Portland to see The Irishman before it comes out. A week in advance, we saw it, and this was a movie that we had to see. There wasn't a chance I wasn't going to go see this in the theater. This is a movie I did not want to go see at home and watch on just a regular fucking.
No, we had to see it on the big screen.
Oh,
and I got to say, like that theater was cool. The whole experience was fun.
Oh yeah.
Like the theater experience was fun, and like the movie was incredible.
It was.
It was really one of.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to because it's just peak cinema bliss.
It is.
I mean, if you not even if you love film, but I mean, if you really love film, then it's everything you love about film.
And I think initially you thought I was joking, but I kind of was serious. I was like, "Hey, you want to go and watch the second showing?"
Yeah, and like, if I didn't have to get up in the morning, I probably would have. I would have sat right back and
watched
down
it
and watched
all
it
again.
all again.
And that's what I can't wait for it to come out on Netflix.
Yeah,
like just to be able to sit through that whole thing again and just watch it. It's good. It's really.
I can't wait for the director's cut to come out and it'd be 4 hours.
4.5 hours. Yeah.
Because the original cut they said was 4 hours plus.
Crazy.
Pray to God there is a director's cut.
I know, especially.
I doubt it because it's already 3 hours long.
Yeah, but especially the fact that it's the last one. Just release a director's cut.
Yeah,
let us see it.
Absolutely.
You know,
we got to think this is possibly gonna be the last great gangster film. I have no idea why that could be, but I mean, it's
a good possibility because there's no one who can really do it like Martin.
Unless someone comes around and just revamps the entire gangster genre, because the gangster film right now is dying. You know, we don't see a lot of it.
I know, and I love them. They're my favorite.
I do, yeah.
Mobster films and like medieval films.
I love mobster films because it's just. I don't know. It's hard not to glorify what they're doing. You know, you just kind of want to be a part of it.
But it's also showing them that they're human beings too.
Oh yeah, and I don't think it's the violence and it's the murder that makes people want to be part of it. I think it's the closeness. It's that once you're in that, you're untouchable in your family, and it's so and the guy next to you is willing to. You know, go beat the shit out of someone just to protect you.
It's the same philosophy as anything else in life. We are naturally tribalistic human beings.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
that's how they get people in the KKK. Well, They say, come on, this is a family. And it really is. And that's why they prey on single men that don't have any family.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're right.
You think about like being on a football team. Yeah. If you're all brothers, you'll fight the other guy even if your guy was wrong. You know, you'll still get in a scuffle with someone else. Or the military too.
Oh, yeah. But it's the closeness of just how tight-knit how we all know how tight-knit the mob is, how it's impossible to get in it, and once you're in it, it's impossible to get out of it.
Can't get out.
Everyone knows that's when you think of mob, you think of just that tight association, how they didn't let anyone in that wasn't from the outside or whatever. I think that's what really fucking draws, at least me.
Oh, yeah.
What draws me into, you know, just being part of something big, and knowing that you're just a step above everyone else. I mean, just really knowing that there's no cops, there's no fucking...
No, you're above the law. I mean, come on.
There's something... something poetic about that, in my opinion. It's just something that... It's something now that only politicians and businessmen have now.
And CEOs.
At least back in the mob, it felt like, oh my God, almost anyone can do this. Can almost be.
You work from rags to riches.
Yeah, exactly. You know? You know, you're Frank. You go and be in the army a little while. You kill enough people, and they just get you a job. But now it just seems like there's no chance for us.
You gotta have a PhD and something.
Or your family has to have 100 years of corruption behind their belt.
Before you can get in.
Yeah. Or you got to be rich already. You got to be built into it already. But we need to start up another mob. Woodland Mafia.
I'm down.
Just start running.
The WM.
Yeah. The problem is, it's just everything's just so easy to get now.
It is.
Before you had to, if you want something illegal, you want free cable or something, you had to go to the mob. Now you just download something on your computer.
You just pirate. I mean, everyone's basically pirates these days.
No, everyone's basically in the mob already.
I know.
Yeah, not enough illegal shit going on.
No, there's not.
And you can't pay people for protection anymore. They're we actually pay. They're already extorting money from us with taxes, paying for these people.
Well, yeah, you pay your income tax, your sales tax, your property tax.
For people to protect you.
Yeah.
It's just the mob. It's just the mob.
It's just, the mob is just under the banner of the government.
Of the government, yeah. It's the same fucking thing. We're still getting screwed.
We are.
Unless you're the one screwing
other people. Well, then it works.
Well, Mace, that was it. How do you feel?
Fun. I feel like that was totally worth it. Is what I feel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In every sense of the word. Like that.
I know. It was one of those movies where there's so much hype going into it for me. And
that was the biggest thing.
I was so nervous about that too, and I think it paid off 100%. And usually it never does for me. It never does.
And this too, we've talked about this now for almost 2 hours, but still, I think if we would have had a second viewing, there's so much more we could have talked about.
Because we skipped over a
lot of stuff.
There was a lot of killings and everything that we skipped over that we had to skip over, yeah.
And it's just, it's one of those movies where, it deserves at least 2 viewings.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I can't wait. This is one that I might buy DVD, Blu-ray, because I just want those special features. I want to see the behind-the-scenes of all that. I want one last
it might be the one I do, too. Even though I don't even own a DVD player, or Blu-ray.
Yeah, because it sucks that they need to start putting special features on Netflix.
Yeah, they do.
As an option. The only way you can get that is to get the DVD. And I really just, more time with these characters is all I want. And I want to see what those guys, because it must be just so fucking fun behind the camera.
I know. I wish they would do behind the scenes, how they all hang out and stuff like that. Because they do.
I want to see a 3-hour documentary of how this movie was. Because this movie Scorsese was trying to make this movie for
it was in development hell since 2014.
I already had he had the idea in 2007.
Yeah, the idea, but I mean when
and he's still couldn't get it made. Yeah, and he's still couldn't get it made. Yeah. And it went through hell even when it got greenlit because Paramount backed out.
Yep.
They said it was too expensive. Yeah, so it's so odd to me that this was a struggle to get made after seeing it, especially.
But that's the thing. They'd rather make these wonky ass
hour and 30 long minute where you can show 9 showings.
Right. Or a bunch of fast cars and
even if you get 1/10 of the people, you're still making more money because of. And we saw at the Hollywood Theater, they could only do 2 showings.
I know, because the movie was so long. Yeah. Which is crazy.
So worth it. It's fucking worth it.
Oh, it is worth it. Yeah.
I would advise anyone. I would say if you're within an hour driving distance, I would advise anyone to take the drive and go and see it.
Yes, I totally agree.
Maybe anything longer than an hour, that might be too much of a drive. You might, but it's definitely worth it. If you're within driving distance of an hour or something, I would go to the nearest big city because they're not gonna be showing it at fucking anywhere.
No.
This was the closest. Yeah, the closest theater to us was 45 minutes away in our old hick town. But should we give our review?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think we're probably gonna have similar reviews.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a similar one. I mean,
I hated this film.
Yeah, same. Couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand talking about it. It was awful. No, I'll make it short, simple, to the point, because I think if you've listened to this now for 2 hours, you know exactly where we stand on it. But Martin Scorsese will always be one of my favorite directors, if not my favorite director of all time. I love the mobster movies, and I really pray that somehow someone is able to capture what he does so well in these mobster films with the storytelling, the pacing. I mean, you're talking about a 3.5-hour movie that felt maybe 2 hours at most. But it was all the editing, everything was just so good that it was such a well-paced story that it did not feel like 3.5 hours at all.
Yeah.
I checked my phone one time and I was shocked to realize that we had already watched 3 hours.
That's the thing.
I was like, I thought we were like an hour and 20 minutes. And I checked my phone and I was like, oh my God, it's 3 hours. This movie's almost over.
That's like, even when I had to go to the bathroom, which I had to go, I didn't even check my phone. I didn't even think about it.
No, I didn't check my phone for that either.
I wasn't sure if we'd been there for an hour, if we'd been there for 3 hours. I wasn't really sure.
And that's a sign of a great film.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When your audience is literally just mesmerized, captivated by the story. So for me, I mean, this is an amazing film.
Yeah.
I recommend going and see it. I gave this movie an A+. Loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to score it, A+, man.
Yeah, we didn't even really dive into like the cinematography or the score or anything.
Didn't talk about any of that.
And it was all, the cinematography was amazing. Scorsese does those over-the-shoulder shots that are just fucking phenomenal, and does the shots when they're driving in cars. And the score was just...
Score was good, too.
How I describe it is fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, at some points, especially when he's driving around the car, you get that upbeat piano.
And then those other moments where it's like... Vroom, vroom,
yeah, you got to deep the
like,
reverb or whatever.
Cello, right? Yeah. Or whatever it is, yeah.
But yeah, the score was fun, and it was... and the cinematography was amazing, and again, you just felt like you were sucked into whatever time that at that point it was in. But... yeah, I gave it an A. Nice. It's obvious.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, it's gonna make the top 10 this year, for sure. And
do you see this in award contention whatsoever?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think Scorsese will get nominated for Best Director?
He'll get nominated for Best Director. It will get nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay because it was adapted from a book.
Yes.
It will get nominated for that. I predict you got to give Pesci a nom, right? His last movie, you got to give Pesci.
You have to.
For Best Supporting.
How do you not give him at least a nomination for this? And honestly, I would make the argument for De Niro as well.
For Best Actor.
Yeah, yes, not for supporting. Yeah. He's obviously the main role, but I mean for the main role.
Oh, I think he'll get nominated for sure. Yeah. But I think it's going to be really hard not to give Pesci another Oscar. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fucking hard.
Yeah. And it was so...
And it's always hard.
It was Pesci, obviously, but it wasn't Pesci.
No, it wasn't.
He actually really had to play Russ.
Oh, yeah.
In a complete different way.
He wasn't playing that just hot-headed... insane, which is always amazing too. I mean, because for one, Joe Pesci in real life is nothing like that. So that's just how good of actor he is.
Exactly.
But yeah, and this showed his range by showing that he doesn't need to play that character. He can play a complete different character and be just as captivating.
Yeah, just crush it, knock it out of the park.
Yeah, and what's it been 20-some years since he acted last? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been in retirement for
I want to see that behind the scenes of his first scene, because I'm sure once he gets on set, it's just like riding a bike.
Uh-huh.
It's
and
just right
his
back
eyes
to,
probably just lit up.
And he's just right back. He's home, Mm-hmm. He's fucking, even though they had to beg him to do
come
this,
back over 50 times.
Beg him to do this. But again, I want to see those behind the scenes.
I know.
Because that first scene that they shot with them, I'm sure it was probably just silence on the set.
It would have been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Would have been awesome, but
it would have been terrifying to work with them, though. If you were an actor that didn't work a lot and you had a scene with them, imagine how intimidating.
Oh, that's what the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, whatever his name is. I saw an interview with him because him and Theo Vaughn and all them, they're really good friends because they all do the not the Fighter and the Kid, the King and the Sting, and they all do. They all live by the Comedy Store, and that's where everyone does
LA.
Their stand up, and that's where Sebastian does his. But he said it was going on there. He's like, I just stayed in my place. He's like, I went on there. He's like, Pesci and Pacino and De Niro and Scorsese. He's like, they're all best friends. They're hanging out the entire time. He's like, I just stayed away. He's like, I don't even want to go in there because you don't want to go in there and try to act like an asshole and be like, I love your movies and all that. You don't want.
Yeah, you don't want to be a fanboy either. You want to be as professional as possible, always on sets. Yep. But it is one of those things where it's like even standing
so nervous,
next to them though,
you gotta be so nervous.
Worth it.
Oh yeah,
it's so worth it. I'm sorry. This is like one scenario where like I would always be a professional, but I would just try to even if I could just hear a sliver of whatever they're saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One piece.
Well, you have scenes with them still, but yeah, that's what you saw me. It's like you would have a scene, and then like they would go in their corner, and then you would go in your corner because I mean they're not there to make fucking friends, especially at that point in their age.
No, they don't give a fuck about you.
And I saw, and I've been watching all the interviews because they all do. You do press after a movie and whatnot, and they can tell they're best friends.
Oh yeah,
Pesci doesn't do any press. But Pacino, De Niro, and Scorsese all go out, and they're just they're best friends, absolutely. So it was cool, but it's got to be fucking intimidating.
Extremely intimidating.
I couldn't even imagine. I wouldn't sleep a fucking if I got the part, I wouldn't sit for the next months.
Well, you'd be
so nervous.
You wouldn't sleep from excitement. And then when you realize that date gets closer to your shoot date, you wouldn't sleep because you're so damn nervous.
And you'd be regretting, you're like, I wish I just never got this fucking role.
I know, because you're just second guessing everything you do. You take a step, you're like, oh, should I step bigger, smaller?
All these guys have been acting for 50 plus years.
And so they ain't got time for your bullshit. They ain't got time for your screw ups. Get it right.
No, kid. And they're not making any fucking rookie mistakes. They're not fubbing lines or probably.
They're not missing their mark or nothing.
They're going on there. They know exactly where they're standing. And I'd be going, fuck, I'm gonna be so nervous, man. Man, that'd be terrifying.
But it would be sometimes though, like when you're in those very terrifying moments, that's when you shine the brightest.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
A lot of times, I'd say for like actors, especially when someone's at a certain level of acting, it brings you up.
But absolutely. But Sebastian, I keep talking about it. This is his second film. His first film was Green Book. He was in
that fucking kind of pisses me off a little bit, if I'm honest.
Well,
his second film with the great Martin Scorsese.
Well, he's been doing stand up for 30 years. So he's definitely put his work in.
Okay, he's put his work in as a comedian. I'm not gonna shade him for that. Not at all.
Comedians always just their next step is acting.
Shit,
anyways, that's always their
mad. That pisses me off.
Second
I'm
role,
a little bitter about.
First one was Green Book.
Yeah, which is Oscar award-winning film.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So he's had
one for Best Picture.
Yeah. And you're also not a fucking full-blooded Italian. I think that would help you land a few more mobster roles.
I think so. I think that's a very valid point.
He is very so he really fits into that role pretty good. He's definitely getting typecasted as well, because that's the same. But typecast me all fucking day.
Hell, I'm down for it.
If you're putting me with Viggo Mortensen in my first role, and then Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in my second role,
come on,
I'm not ever acting again, because you're just gonna. What are you gonna do? What do you do after that?
You're on the
Tylenol commercial.
Because what else? What else is there to do? You're at the top of the game.
This has gone long enough, I think.
Alrighty. If you liked what you saw here on YouTube, be sure to like the video, comment below what you think of The Irishman. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell notification. You can find our Twitter, you can find our social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast. Cash is on Twitter, that's just Cash. Instagram, Have You Seen It? Facebook, Have You Seen It? Have You Seen It Podcast? You can find our podcast on all audio formats, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.